Start streaming. Okay, so now we're actually live for real this time, with no
For real.
delay, so we can talk and keep up with you guys.
Take
If
two.
anybody chats, yeah, literally take two. This way we can keep up with chats if anybody ends up jumping in to watch and hang out with us. So to go back to what I was saying, number one seed locked in, first team to get a playoff spot locked in, best record locked in, barring a miracle run, I think, where you lose to and somebody else wins to that has the tiebreaker against you. How does that
I
feel,
don't think
man? I don't think there's
does.
any, I don't think so. I'm 99% sure that you're 100% the first seed. How's that feel, man? I mean, 2 weeks left in the season, just a complete load off your back, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, well, my division is what it is, but it does take a lot of load off, but I still need to try to get some pieces to feel even more comfortable.
Yeah, and we were actually talking about that yesterday through DMs about kind of your depth versus some of these other teams' superstar powers, where you almost have more decisions to make each week because you have so many players that you could easily plug into that spot, right? Versus the superstar teams that just like this is their lineup, but if someone goes down, they're screwed, whereas you're not screwed. Do you think that you try to make a deal with one of those teams to offload 2 or 3 good pieces for, the number 1 wide receiver or the number 2 wide receiver or number 1 running back, or is that something you're trying to do here the next couple hours?
I've been trying to do that, but it's just no one wants to come off of someone of that high tier, because the people with the high tier superstars are in the playoffs with me, or they're
Right.
fighting for it, so they're not going to get rid of a top performer, even though I have 3 or 4 or 5 people on my bench that are putting up 10, 15, 20, and last week 30 points. I had 2 people on my bench that scored like 120 score and 130 score.
Jeez.
But it's fall backs into that. I don't know who to start, when to start. Like, you think that so and so is going to be good against the Lions, or it didn't. I set Thielen
There
last
he is.
week.
Is that Cade Romero? Welcome in, Cade.
Yep, a little late, but we made it.
We made it.
What up, Wesley?
Yep. What's up, brother?
Once the camera jumps on, we'll see where everybody's at. I think this is
Yeah,
Cade.
almost there. Almost there.
Who were the players that scored in the double digits for you last week, Josh?
For me on my bench, I had Adam Thielen, 31.
Oh, right. Yeah, he scored like 2 touchdowns, didn't he?
Thielen. Do you know why he did that, by the way? Because I dropped him in my other league, just so you know. I'll keep you in the loop whenever I pick him back up and start him.
Actually,
Carter scored, I think, like 22.
That's funny because we were literally talking about Thielen before that week.
Yeah,
Were you guys working on a deal?
It didn't really end up going anywhere. That's
More
not really
just
because he had.
discussion.
He didn't ask for a ridiculous price for him, but like I think at the time I had viewed him more like a roster clogger, and I was like, I don't need another receiver, and then he goes up and scores 30.
Yeah, and then goes off.
Yeah.
Right. So
trying to ship out a few, like 1 star, 2 stars, like Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
Working with Cade, trying to get something done with that, but
So yeah, we're gonna let's touch on that here in a second or two. We'll come back to that. Go ahead, keep going.
but I'm willing to get rid of pretty much any star on my team for your player. Like 3 stars, 1 superstar is what I'm trying to say.
So when you guys were working on that deal, and then Cade in the so this is where it gets fun, right? Because we used to have Cade as the unbiased outside source, and now you're in it and working with these teams.
Yeah.
And not only that, with no time, right? Like a week or 2 weeks to really try to get your team to where it was. And I heard you guys were talking on trades, then it fell through, then it was quiet for a bit, and then Cade, you even said like, man, he said he was trying, but I sent an offer. I thought, and then what happened? Do you guys want? I don't want you to leak details, but like,
bro.
Yeah.
I said he's pulling dicks, man. Dude wants to talk about trading. Look. I made it very clear. I would work with him anyway. I would literally even pay contracts for guys on his roster for future years with FAAB.
Right.
And it didn't happen.
So
and that's because
about that. What do you think? Was it not enough for Kelsey? Because Kelsey Mahomes, dude. I mean, you've got it. You're living in heaven, right? Is
Well,
that
it
what it
was
was?
not-
Was it just not enough, or do you think it was more than that, or where was your head at with it?
Well, he wanted to give me a tight end that the Kelsey part was good. Once we started talking into it, I started looking further into it with cap space and what I would be losing
Right.
for my run at this playoffs compared to what he'll be setting up for.
Fear. He's scared. That's what it is.
Uh,
And look, I've seen the roster too, and I'm a little bit scared of what I'm capable of myself, so I can't blame him.
So I was looking at it as like, what do I need compared to what he's getting?
Okay.
And well, I was at work when all this was going down, and we thought the
Yeah.
trade line that night. So we were
was
trying
that
to
night? Yeah, that's why he asked. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that's why I was in the
Okay.
chat.
we're trying to like throw something together real quick before it goes off, and then we found out it wasn't the deadline. So then I got to look into it and look at my cap space and how my next year's looking, and me not having any draft pick for the next like 2 years. I was like, I was just I thought
Yeah.
more. I did want to get rid of Kelsey for 2 for a 1 deal, but
Look,
That's
just go ahead and take him off the trade block, bro. I could sell you your own grandmother, bro, and you turn it down.
So the two tight ends that I see on the roster that'd be good for trade are Jawan Johnson and Dallas Goddard, right? Like it's got to be one of those two. So
Goddard.
Yeah. Look, here's the kicker, bro. I told him I'd give him both, bro. I told him I'd give him both. I'd cover Goddard's 3rd year of his contract. I'd give him $30 for that, so he didn't even have to worry about him in year 3. And I'm pretty sure I also gave you a 1st round, bro. We're literally tripping, bro. We are tripping.
So the thing with that is, so let take the FAAB out of it because it's so unique to our league and how you value that. Like certain teams, I feel like are valuing it, and certain teams aren't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that'll happen next year
definitely.
more, where people teams sort of. So Goddard and a 1st for Kelsey, like I could totally see myself being on the Kelsey side and taking that deal, and I could totally see myself being on the Goddard side and taking that deal.
Yeah. But their contracts actually aren't too different. I think Kelsey actually is a bit cheaper than Goddard is. But I mean, Goddard is what, 25 years old?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think
Look,
it's like $1 difference. It's not very much.
Yeah. It's a fair deal, but look, it's hard. I get it. It's hard to part with Kelsey when you see them performing and see the value. It's like, dang, that is a valuable piece. And it really makes you just like double check, like, okay, what am I really willing to like get if I give him? So I get it. I told him, look, I said, look, I understand, and it is fun to talk trades. It's fun to theorize and to say, okay, well, what could be? And it just didn't come out, you know. And obviously, I've known Josh for a while, so I had to give him a hard time about it, call him out. But all is well.
Well,
I mean,
let's-
in my
go ahead.
world, over 20 points every week. So I would need someone of that caliber back, plus picks is what I wanted, and no one want to give that up, and I understand that.
Yeah.
because
So
it's not like, I mean,
I
you're
will-
10-2, and you're not throwing in the towel because that makes no sense to do that. And it's like you have the Mahomes and Kelsey sack, so why would you break that up unless you thought you could win without it? So yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I like your reasoning. You're not gonna sell low on him. You want what you're asking for.
Right.
Exactly. I would get rid of him for like a Justin Jefferson or a Stephon Diggs with like a 4th round pick, like someone who needs that tight end that's stacked at wide receiver or something like that is the only way that they would go down. But
Yeah.
I know my asking price is higher than what anyone's going to give me at this moment.
What's also tricky too is there are certain teams who value tight end and certain teams who don't, right? So I know whenever I think of this, I think of me and Code. Code did not draft a tight end in the draft, if I'm not mistaken, or you spent $1 at the end, whereas I spent the money on Mark Andrews at first and traded it. So
Exactly.
So finding the partner that wants the tight end is important, and then tight end is such a position you have or have not, right? So take out Pitts because this is a weird year for him, and Kittle's good too, obviously, and Goddard and Ertz and all, but like you either have it with Kelsey and Andrews or you don't, and you're trying to figure it out. And so Kittle for people that love Kelsey for people that love tight end, it's such a huge asset to not have to ever worry about the position because in theory, Kelsey and Andrews too, but like the way I look at that is it's just that's 10-point cushion you have going into your games. Like you put Kelsey up against, Juwan Johnson. Will just because it's the first 10 I think of because it's sitting here on the screen. Like you have a 10-point cushion. If one of your receivers puts up a 0 and their receiver puts up 10, you're even because you have Kelsey. So it can be really tough to part with that. I think.
My predictions, I get like a 5-point cushion. It says I'm projected 149 or 159. I know I'm going to get 6 or 7 more points than what it's projected because he's hit over his projections every week.
Yeah.
Without it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous with how they're playing right now. Let's move on and let's talk a little bit about what happened last week as well. So similar format to what we normally do, just a bit more sped up and slowed down at the exact same time since we've got 3 people hanging out with us tonight. But the implications fall down to the Diamond Dogs. Webster Tigers pick up another win over Justin's Deli in Divisional Week. Team Havoc takes down Watson's 25th Masseuse to move up in the standings, and we'll talk about that here in a second or two. Kung Su Pandas take down Brownout to go up in the standings, make fullbacks great again. By the way, only one fullback on the roster now. So they picked up 3.
Like 6, and
they picked up 3, dropped their name, changed their name, and dropped 2. So I don't know about that. They pick up the winner for Lose Like Flynn, and then Rutro Raggy picks up the win, obviously, to secure the division against Dan Flashes. And Dan Flashes was talking a little bit of smack, too, saying this was like a child's play week, or I forget the phrase he used, but saying, like, this is going to be an easy game. And then here he is. The only thing that nothing really took me by surprise, other than obviously Josh Jacobs just being the monster that he was. But my boy T. Higgins, that trade has been paying off for you, Raggy, with just him consistently putting up numbers. Any regrets on that trade? You still happy with how it went down, or? I'm loving it.
Really with the T. Higgins trade, because Jamar Chase is coming back this week, but he's still the number 2 now. He's going from number 1 to number 2, and he's going to lose half of his targets. I know that. So I'm kind of iffy on that now, but in the last 4 weeks, I played everyone in the Division of Death, and he was outstanding for me. He helped me out, like, tremendously.
What was that deal again? We revisit that deal. What'd you guys do?
Let me pull it up. I can't remember what it was exactly off the top of my head, but I can have it for a second. I think the T. Higgins is just a strong enough receiver that he would be number 1 on more than half the other teams.
He's a 1 anywhere else, yeah.
So
James Rob hasn't played at all since then, and actually I think you're trying to get rid of him.
So it was Jamal Williams, who's RB12 right now somehow, PJ Walker and T. Higgins, and a 4th in 2024. Sent for Stafford Robinson, a 1st and a 2nd in 2024. Yeah. So really, it was the trade for me was fueled by I needed a quarterback, and I don't know if Stafford's the guy this year, obviously, but I think he might be next year. Whereas you needed that receiver, and Jamal Williams has paid off for you versus James Robinson, obviously. Like I thought that was going to be an even swap, really. So the way I looked at it was like, get those picks. But I think, if Stafford comes back and plays well next year, we both win this trade, and it's very rare that like both teams can walk away from this being happy. But this is still one that I'm still happy with, and you're happy with. So it really just depends on if Stafford sucks next year, I'm pissed.
Yeah, leading in rushing touchdowns with 12.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The Lions just love him.
Yeah.
He's reliable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the only trade that I think I'm sour with that I did this year, everyone talked crap about the Zeke trade, but I'm happy with that one. Like, he's still, the Dallas Cowboys still say he's not in numbers, but he's still that goal line touchdown machine. They use Tony for receiving and for those outside runs, but down at the goal line, it's still Zeke.
He has scored 15 points or more for you in every single game he's played so far since you've done that trade. So,
Only trade that I think that I screwed myself on was the Edwards-Helaire trade.
Yeah,
that one. I gave
for the second.
A second round pick for him.
Yep, I remember that one. In fact, as you'll see later on in the stream and in the recording, we're doing the worst trades of the year. We're going team by team and just saying this was their worst trade this year. And I struggled picking between those two just because I felt like at least Zeke's producing, right? So one of those two, we won't spoil it yet, but one of those two was your personal or your team's. And again, I made fun of everybody. I made fun of myself. But I was definitely between those two. Like, which one should we pick here? So, but you would pick your CEH trade over the Zeke trade.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But
Great.
I a long-term deal. I think CEH is going to go to a different team next year. I see him playing somewhere else, not being able to get the playing time that he wants behind behind a rookie that's clearly their number one now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
he's
got-
much better.
he's on a cheap deal too.
got,
So
like-
$24 next year. So he'll be on a. That's the thing that's nice about CH's contract. So obviously this year he goes to next year $24 on with his 1 year deal. So if he doesn't do well, you don't re-sign him. If he does go to a different team and does well, you can re-sign him easy, and have a good RB1 for $35 basically in year one, and you can make that deal as long as you want to. Like, so that could pan out to be really well. It's just obviously he's not performing well with Kansas City for whatever reason that is.
Yeah, I got to sit on it. I'm going to eat that one this year, and then hopefully he shows up next year, and I'll be okay.
Yeah, and hopefully he turns into at least a flex play, right? I mean, if you've got the other running backs where you're happy, obviously you've got James Conner, so you've definitely have the options there, and Zeke, so he could easily just be a flex play, and that's still, I mean, he's a hell of a flex play, right? So could be worse.
Even if he stays with Kansas City, just the fact that he's on the Chiefs, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's some value there.
he could score a flip touchdown pass in the end zone or something at the goal line. So
Yeah.
that's value.
Well,
But
we'll
yeah,
take a
he's
look at our-
kind of been a bust.
He has been, unfortunately. We'll take a look at our standings and see what we've got here. So, as we talked about, Jamarcus Russell division, it's over 10-2 for Ruggie at the top of the standings. That is 100% a lock first seed division. I did take a look, by the way, to confirm you do have the first seed no matter what. Your two losses were to Team Havoc back in week 4 when it wasn't Team Havoc, and in week 8 you lost the random lose like Flynn game where they put up 175 points out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So neither of those teams affect you. So even if you lose your next 2 games, and even if somebody else wins their next 2 games and puts you both at 10-4, you hold the tiebreaker and that number 1 seed, which is great. So that is 100% locked up. You've got Dan Flashes out at 7-5, the Webster Tigers at 5-7, and Justin Selly at 3-9. And you've got the Leaf division, which is a mess yet again. Another switch back in the division leader with Kung Su Pandas now at 8-4. The make fullbacks great again at 8-4, and Brownout drops down to 3rd place at 7-5. Lose like Flynn continues to stay at the bottom at 2-10. And the Smith division with some shuffling here as well. Diamond Dogs at 8-4. Team Havoc is 6-6, but has moved up over Watson's 25th Masseuse, who's also at 6-6, and then the implications at 2-10. So both of you guys are at 6-6, and you both split the season series. So Watson's 25th won week 1 against you guys, and then you won this last week, but you have Team Havoc has more points, so they sit higher in the standings than Watson's 25th Masseuse does, and this is what everything looks like. From your perspective, obviously, Zoinks, you were kind of expecting this the entire way. What do you think the Leaf division shakes out to? What do you think the Smith division shakes out to here as we continue on? There is a world, by the way, in which Watson's 25th Masseuse wins the division. There's probably not a world. Actually, no, there's not a world in either of those. Just because of points. Yes, Watson's 25th Masseuse can win the division by winning both their next games, and the Diamond Dogs losing both their next games. There is no world in which Havoc does, because if Havoc beats the Diamond Dogs, they split the series, and the point differential is just too big between those two teams. So Cade and the Team Havoc are playing for the 5th and 6th spot, whereas Watson's is really not. They can compete for the 6th spot, which is the most points for, but they have a chance at the 3rd spot too. So do you see a world in that happens where the Diamond Dogs fall out of the number 1 spot and Watson's wins it? Watson's plays implications and Diamond Dogs. Do you think that there's a chance for that, or do you think the Diamond Dogs just have that division on lock?
I was looking into that earlier. I don't think that it is possible, but I don't think it can happen. Code's players are lining up against worse teams, and he's going to have his high scorings next 2 weeks. He's going to score too much points for them to. I know Cade this week, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So it's Code and Cade against each other this week, and then Watson's against the bye week. So.
Cade is 2-0 since taking over the team.
Yeah,
I know, man. It says 6-6 right there, but I just want like a little
I just see,
asterisk and a little 2-0.
I just see 2-0. That's all I see. Interestingly enough, taking a very, very quick look and not doing much math, the points between Watsons and Diamond Dogs are pretty much projected to be even. So 9-point difference without a quarterback in for Watsons, and with a player on bye week.
Yeah,
with Aaron
I've got
Jones
the
on a bye
Packers on
week.
bye.
Yeah, so if you plug Fournette in, that adds you 11 points, and he plugs in Murray, that adds him 24. So I mean, the points for Week 14 are neck and neck. That's going to be the game of the week, really. If the Dogs lose this week to Team Havoc, and if the implications lose this week to Watsons. But then we have the Leaf division, which is just again a mess. Really, really funky stuff going on here. Who do you guys think comes out with the crown? I mean, all three of these teams probably make the playoffs. With Brown out being here in the 6th seed, it really makes it funky for everybody else competing for the most points. But how do you guys think this one ends up shaping out?
It's gonna finish exactly how it is now, sitting how it is, with Unicorn on top. I'm just looking ahead at the playoff bracket, and I'm wanting Unicorn to stay on that bottom half of that bracket.
You're right. Stay far away from his team. Yeah.
Hopefully he comes second seed spot, but I'm trying to. Hopefully this plays out for me, because definitely trying to
need it. Yeah, need it.
Definitely need him on the bottom board.
I think that I know Brownout's been kind of reeling a bit, but he's got Deshaun Watson coming back, and if he's anything like he was back when he was playing, and not in massage parlors, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't think that so Make fullbacks have a great team. So does Unicorn, but I mean, having like two. I mean, I guess Watson is still technically a superstar. I don't know if he has two superstar quarterbacks on his roster, but he's definitely got one, and I mean that could be all the difference. You know, we've seen how Mahomes has helped you, Zoinks. So.
Yeah, by the way, his other quarterbacks currently on the roster: Tua Tagovailoa, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff.
Yeah, he's got Tua. Yeah, like
he's got. And he can also play matchups. So let's pretend that Watson comes back and is rusty. He could say, okay, who's Tannehill playing? Who's Goff playing? Who's Watson playing? And get a good matchup versus some of the other teams who say, I've got two quarterbacks and that's all I've got, and I want a quarterback in my super flex spot. He should have choices, but it just depends. And not only that, a lot of teams have been putting quarterbacks up on the trade block. We saw Derek Carr go up on the trade block. We saw Garoppolo on the trade block. I'm scrolling back up to see who's updated their trade block recently to kind of put that out there. But let's see other quarterbacks on the trade block. Bailey Zappi, obviously the quarterback of the future. Tannehill and Goff are both currently on the trade block. Sam Darnold's on the trade block. Taylor Heineke's on the trade block. Daniel Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr all on the trade block. Matthew Stafford also on the trade block. Baker Mayfield, not that he's a real quarterback anymore, on the trade block. Carson Wentz on the trade block. So there are a lot of different options out there. But I think that none of those names really would beat out any of the other four, I don't think. So we'll see how it looks. That is all the time we've got with you, those Zoinks. Any final last thoughts? I know you kind of mentioned wanting to trash the haters for... I think a lot of these polls that we were doing, there's no real optimism. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a hater very early on and did not buy into the 3-0. But I want to give you the moment to say what you want to say to the people who were not believing in you, basically.
If you go back and watch when you first started doing these videos, or even the beginning of the year when you were doing just the polls with the charts. Everyone was and where do you think everyone's going to be, and all these polls on voting on who's going to be where, and no one said anything about my team. Rarely ever, until you started doing the videos, and Cade was the only giving my team props before he was even in the league.
Which those props still exist. That's why I'm bitter, because you're so much in a better standing than me, but you want the world, man. You can't have it all, man. You can't have it all.
I need it though at this point. I just need one more stepping stone to get up to that high scoring point where I need to be. Like, I'm consistent at 160s, but I don't think I ever broke over 180 this year.
And if it, definitely moving into the playoffs, something happens, a guy goes down, you're even lacking 5-10 points, or much less a projected 20 from something happening. I mean, I just remember I picked up Robinson off of a trade like a week and a half ago, and now he's out with the foot surgery for the rest of the season. So I mean, it is dicey as we get towards this part, man. So there's no shade really.
I just
Cool
got
world out there.
the only thing I got going for me is depth. I got 3 good wide receivers that I can switch in and out, and I got 2 running backs I can switch in and out.
Go with what works, man. It's been
Yeah.
working.
It has been working. 190.3 points is the most you scored in week 11, followed by week 12, 165.34, followed by week 1, 162.88. But to your point, 162, 147, 162, 155, 156, 158, 190, 165. You're very consistent, but we haven't seen some of those 200 points that some of these other guys have pulled out. But maybe that's all you need, right? You haven't had any of those down weeks.
Yeah, the bye weeks is what kept me going in this long stretch. When I played the Division of Death, all their teams were on bye weeks, and my teams, but I had that depth that I could flip over when someone's on a bye week.
Yep.
I can take some.
Doesn't kill you.
He still gets me that 10, 15 points that I need, to where someone else is on the bye week. They have to put in a projected 4-pointer, and that's just how I got by. And but I'm happy with my depth, and it falls back to when we did the draft at the beginning of the year. Everyone blew their money, and I think it was just me and one other person who had like all the money left.
It's
And
probably K-Megs, I think.
I think it was me and him had the most depth because everyone blew their money in like the first 2 rounds, and me and him were just getting who we wanted when we wanted them.
Yep, able to spend for it. By the way, I went back and looked at the polls as we were talking here. The 4th poll we ever did is Rugby a top or bottom team. There were 3 options, basically top, we'll see, and bottom. 50% of the room or the group voted for they are a bottom team. 50% voted for they are a middle of the road team. Not a single vote towards the top. And another one, we did which 3-0 team is the worst. 2 votes went your way. It was actually a split between everybody. Only 6 people voted this one because we hate me. But it was 2 votes went 3 different ways, so there's an even split there. So, and then our last, one of the more recent ones we did, which team wins it all, not a single vote went your direction when there were 9 teams listed. In fact, the favorite to win it all was Kung Fu Pandas, and then a lot of other teams got 1 vote, but your team did not get a vote. So to the point that you've made, from day one, they've been hating, and here you are, first playoff spot secured, number 1 seed, winner of the division. That's good stuff, man. So
That bye
awesome.
is huge. I've been fighting for that for weeks.
Yeah.
Like-
Statistically speaking, best way to win best way to win is to get a bye. I mean,
Yeah.
you're basically guaranteed almost into the money at this point.
Yeah, just it's the battle between the turtle and the rabbit, and I'm the turtle.
Yeah.
Consistent, scoring what I need them to score, and everyone else that y'all just have been sleeping.
All right, we'll see how it goes with the rest of the way. Good luck in your trade. Whoops, that's not supposed to be all the way over there. Good luck in your quest for the trades here. Trade deadline again starts at 1 a.m. Eastern time, so hopefully you can get some done before then. I'm always down to trade, but my problem is I don't have any stars on the team, so I don't think I'm much help. People are like, I'm looking for this. I'm like, what do you want for this player? And they're like, I'm looking for a good starter. I'm like,
Yeah.
I am not your
Right,
guy.
yeah. Fresh out of those guys.
Fresh out of
yeah.
starters, guys. But yeah,
Battle
I
for pick. I got 2 stars for 1, 2-for-1 deals come my way.
2-for-1 deal. So if anybody is looking to offload one of their stars for a 2-for-1, some extra depth going into the playoffs here, especially with how quickly things can turn if you need a backup. With your backup being able to put out as many points as a starter half the time too, if they have a good week or you see some consistency, I think Zoinks is your guy. All right, my friend, thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, see ya.
All right, so it is down to the 3 of us. Don't mind the scene looking a little messy. It's going to look even messier here in a second or two because we are going to pull Alan McNatt in here. Alan McNatt, how are you, sir? Hopefully this is a smoother transition. Nope.
hey, that's fine.
He's
We
gone.
knew it was gonna be. We knew it was gonna be kind of a.
Well, he's also not used to Discord, so. All right,
Yeah,
we're going to
good
try this
point.
again. Alan, I pulled you into the. Nope.
Is he AFK?
I don't think so. I think he's just. We're trying again. Don't click anything. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Hey, awesome. We can hear you too. How are you?
Sweet. Yep.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he got the Bears jersey on.
Oh,
The
dub Bears.
Justin Fields jersey. Are you
Gotta
a?
show off for my guy.
I don't blame you. How do I do this? Oh no, your name is gonna mess. Hold on, let me do something real quick. ZZZZ. Okay, let me do that. Does that rearrange it? It does. Okay.
It puts him over where Zoinks was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so let me change everything here.
Yeah. How you been liking that Justin Fields surge?
I gotta tell you, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did.
Were you? So obviously you're a Bears fan. Were you expecting this, or were you a hater coming into the season, or somewhere in between?
Are we recording or?
We are. We are live.
We're
Yeah,
live.
yeah, yeah.
All good.
We're good.
We're
Yeah,
live,
everything's
yeah.
going. I
Cool,
should have
cool.
warned you. This way you didn't come in here talking shit about Kate again.
That's what I do, I guess. No, I'm actually like not a Bears fan, which is funny.
Oh no shit.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to institute
Give me one
this
second,
rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're good. I'll keep
Oh
going.
no, please don't. Please, yeah, don't stop. Just give me a sec.
No, you're good. I tried to institute a rule in one of my leagues that you have to buy a jersey of your favorite player, and if you trade that player, you have to send the jersey. And
Oh,
I was,
Okay.
I love
I
that.
was me and one other guy were the only ones to get that going, and so here we are today, and rock this whenever I can. And I'm actually a
I love
Houston
that.
Texans fan.
That's
so, right.
So you're not loving this season.
No. Actually, this is all we could hope for. I mean,
Yeah,
if
that's
we're
true.
being real for ourselves. We're in it for the long haul. I mean, every week I'm checking mock drafts, and you know, the best thing I can hope for is Bryce Young. So we're setting ourselves up nicely for it.
Yeah.
Is that who you would pick? So pretend you're the Houston Texans, or you win the toilet bowl, and you're the GM of Justin's Deli. Obviously, are you going Bryce Young 1-1? You think? Don't take No, we'll do it as a Texans. Don't do fantasy because fantasy, you generally want the running back, right?
Yeah.
But like, you're the
I'm pretty
Texans. You
set
get
up
101.
quarterback right now.
Yeah, you think
Yeah,
Bryce Young's the guy?
Bryce is the pick. Stroud is not him. I think it's all Bryce. The man is built with poise. I'm gonna stop you right here. I'm about to press accept on this trade on. The
Oh
live
no!
stream.
Okay.
Our first.
What is it?
First
All right.
deal.
I'm freaking out. Okay, Hollywood Brown for 2 seconds. Wow. Okay, so you're getting the seconds and sending
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown away. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I-
like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
I can't hate it.
That's
No, I
the,
love it.
That's
And
the,
look,
1 year.
that's the Flynn too. So that's a high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
high
wow.
profile. Yeah.
Okay. What's Hollywood's
Well, and
contract?
also,
He's on a 1-year
Um,
deal.
He's
My
on a
fault,
1-year
everybody.
deal?
He's not a part of my future. Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah, he's on a
22,
1 year deal, so it would mean that Flynn needs to use one of his re-signs on him to make that worth it. I would say. So that tells you right there he believes in Marquise Brown, if he's gonna buy him for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think
And-
I think he's great, Hollywood Brown. I think he's just having obviously the injury, but he's shown that he's going to be good, right?
Yeah.
I think for 2 seconds, I think that's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I think it's a fair deal.
Oh, absolutely.
I asked for a little bit more, but I mean, I'll take whatever I can get here. He's not going to be a part of my future. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Flynn-
and I love the
him.
look to next year too, man. Honestly, I mean, and we even kind of briefly touched on this with Zoinks. Like next year, people are gonna be shaking in their boots, man. They're gonna sit there watching everyone draft everybody they thought about all off season, all those rookies, and they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Wow, everyone gets to play except me." So, I mean, any way you can get picks, I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I think I'm building pretty well here. The way I look at Dynasty is like, you can't do anything without quarterbacks, and with Fields, cementing that quarterback 2 spot for me. I mean, the sky's the limit from here on out. I need to really, nail down those running backs. Whenever this season started, when Akers, first game 1 carry, I knew my season was pretty doomed. So, so at that point, I just let the season come to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, talk to me about your reaction to that because obviously you're excited. Football's back finally. You're getting ready to watch the game. You drafted Cam Akers. You believed in him. You spent, what was it, $63 on him in the startup draft. Signed him to a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
And then he just did that. I mean, did you literally know from that moment, you're like, well, I'm in trouble? Or, where was your head at with that? Or do you think he's going to bounce back, or just you were done with it?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball here, but as soon as I saw him have, that 4 carries for what less than 10 yards,
Something ridiculous.
yeah, it's like there's not much more you can do there. So you can't win a championship without running backs. That's everything I've known in fantasy. So I mean, at that point, given the contract, given the usage, it wasn't worth it for me to even see it through at that point. Especially given how good Henderson looked in that first week and has continued to look, which is shocking they let him go. But I would say the reaction immediately was to next year. I think I could be wrong. I had already made a trade, first rounder with.
I know you made one with. I know you've only made 3 trades this year, and 2 of them are with me. The other one I think was Dobbins and Edwards. I think with me, right?
One of them was Freiermuth. I forget if that was.
Yeah, so that was with me. That was for a second round pick. It was Freiermuth and Freiermuth for a second. I have it because it's something we're going to touch on later.
I'm looking for it too. I usually keep most of them, but I can't find it right now.
This is so embarrassing. I know it was Freiermuth for a second. Chase Claypool. And Brevin Jordan. Boom! Look at that memory right there.
Yes.
So Freiermuth for So it depends on how. So this is kind of what we talked about a moment ago with Zoink Scoop. Is it really depends on how you value tight ends, right? So if you don't value tight ends very much, getting a second for him, especially now that we know it's going to be a high second because I suck, is great in and of itself. The problem is that Brevin Jordan and Chase Claypool haven't paid off as the other part of that deal. But
thank God I have time.
Yeah, exactly, right. You've got plenty of time to kind of figure that out. So when we talked yesterday, we were trying to set this up. By the way, I just realized I completely leaked my 2 trade offers that are sitting in my inbox, by the way, on stream. So hopefully no one takes advantage of that.
That's funny.
But we're going to kind of go through the playoff bracket together. Let's take a look at that and what it looks like. So here's the most up-to-date playoff bracket that we have, and it has changed a bit. So Rutro Raggy has locked in the number 1 seed, 100% locked in. There's nothing that can happen that'll change that. Kung Fu Pandas barely holds on to the number 2 seed because they beat Codes by 3 points in their matchups. So they hold on to the number 2 seed. Diamond Dogs hold on to 3. The fullbacks Great again hold on to 4. Brownut falls down to 5. And then Team Havoc is in 6th place still. So Dan Flashes from your division, Alan, has fallen all the way down to the extra pick bracket with the shuffling. With Brownout falling down to 7 and 5, Brownout holds a tiebreaker over Dan Flashes, which has knocked them out because now they need to have the most points for, and they don't in comparison to a lot of these other teams. So Dan Flashes losing their game to Brownout has been huge. Them losing again has put them in a really, really difficult spot. And what's kind of cool is you still have that power to maybe even knock them another step down the rung. If you could pick up a win against them, you really completely knock them out. And he sold the future. He has no first-round pick in 2023, no first-round pick in 2024, and if I'm not mistaken, no second-round pick in either year as well. So if you're able to pick up a win against him next week, that would really, really kill him. Not this coming week, the one after that. I mean, it's like a nail in the coffin type deal, probably.
I'm looking at Dan Flash's team right now. I'll be candid. Whenever you're tanking, you don't do a lot of looking at other teams. Like I said, you let the league come to you for trades and all that. So, I mean, his team it had potential at the beginning of the year, but Aaron Rodgers just fell flat on his face. Taylor absolutely screwed him all year. And just the ascension of Brownout, I think that's the story of the season. I think that's the best team. I mean, obviously they have the most points, but given their pretty bad record, I think it's pretty shocking how well they've been able to turn the corner, and obviously that's what caused Dan Flashes to drop a little bit.
Yeah, then I think it's also crazy to not even the Cooper Kupp piece is also huge too. With him going down, it's like just another nail in the coffin for Dan Flashes potentially.
I didn't even know he had him, to be honest.
Yeah, he's hiding all the way down there, probably now on IR because
he's on the IR now. Yeah.
And then not only that, the Rams' offense not helping. So even though Cooper Kupp was still able to perform and beat Cooper Kupp a bit, I mean, there's only so much. That it does. Kupp not having the same type of year that he had last year where he won leagues for literally anybody who had him. Still at number 5, but you can see the decline as it goes throughout the year. 34 weak points earlier on. It's fallen to kind of inconsistent mid-20s, mid-teens, and then
because he's their entire offense. It's not going to sustain. Eventually it's going to fall off.
Yeah, and 6 to 8 weeks is a timetable, I guess, from what Sleeper's saying. That was a week and a half ago, so I mean, he gets back to week 16 maybe. Like that's painful.
Yeah, it's late.
So let's take a look at playoff scenarios and talk about those. And I don't have this set up, so we're totally just doing this on stream. So as we take a look at that bracket, we know that Rob Ruggie has a number 1 seed. Pathways to the number 2 seed for the rest of the teams. Let me take a look. So people are talking in the chat. Nobody's talking in the chat.
They're talking in sleeper,
in the
though.
sleeper chat, so I gotta have the sleeper
yeah,
chat pulled up on
it's
the
hot
side.
in here.
Yeah, so
It's hot.
Talking about Survivor, which I guess is the league show.
Apparently so.
Yeah, so
I
I
just
used to watch
learned
Survivor
this.
back in the day. I haven't seen this season.
I just learned this. Yeah.
So when we look at what's going on with the number 2 seed potentially, it can still look. We can speculate it can go to Dan Flash if there's miracles that happen, but let's not get too crazy. I think that it could go to any of the teams in the Leaf division that are still fighting, or it could go to the Diamond Dogs. If with how volatile the Leaf division is, there is a world where the Diamond Dogs could get the number 2 seed, but there's also a world where Brownout, fullbacks great again, or Kungsu Pandas get it. Because Brownout, though they're a game behind, they have 3 on everybody in the division, except for the team that they just lost to, but they have the most points for. So there's still like, it's just a mess. That whole division just makes me angry because I'm not even in it. So I just whenever I think about it, like everything else is so clear cut, and this division just gets it wacky.
We're literally not going to know what's going to happen in that division until the final week and like the last game is played, because like it's just so volatile with that top 3. And yeah, there is a world where not all 3 of them make the playoffs, and that would be so freaking wild.
Yeah. What also gets really sketchy is what happens with the 6 seed, because if Brownout loses another game, they'll be knocked out of the 5th seed, which puts them in the 6th seed spot, and 6th seed is most points for, which completely eradicates anybody else of having a chance. So the Quad Fathers, interestingly enough, or Make Fullbacks Great Again, are currently sitting at 4, but if they go down below Brownout, I think they play this week.
Yep. So if they switch places and they go down under Brownout, now they have to fight for their life for the points for it, because it was 11 points that separated 3 teams. Dan Flashes has no chance in the points for competition. They're like 150 points behind with 2 weeks to go on the other teams. So the only chance that they have in is to like hold on to a record and hope that the Quad Fathers lose and Brownout wins, or Brownout loses like the next 2 games. Like it just gets super funky as these things continue on. Any wild predictions that you have, Alan, on how you see anything going, or do you think it kind of holds the bracket that it is now? Or
I think I wrote down some notes, and it's all under the cloud of this is the view from the bottom. So I would the biggest thing I would say is, I just fully believe in Brownout. Like that team is loaded, and what's impressive to me is they also are set up for the future. They didn't sell out. They still have their picks.
Preach.
And I think a lot of that has to do with how cheap they got Deshaun for. I think you look back, he went for like $60 or $70 when I spent right, and that's going to be a top 5 QB moving forward for the rest of the year. His ascension it's going to make their team go on all cylinders. That's going to be my prediction. I think Brownout takes the division and takes the championship.
$59 in year 1 of Deshaun Watson's contract. To put it in perspective, his 4th year is $150, which is $4 more than Josh Allen's year 1 contract, who's also on a 5-year contract. So, but that is a problem for the future, right, Kate? You don't have to worry about that yet. But it is ridiculous how cheap he is.
I mean, Evan's contract, dude. Just quick shout out to he who must not be named for absolutely trolling me with that Evans contract. I'm like, who crafted this?
Well, the worst part about it is the Evans contract is actually from Zoinks, and Zoinks traded him away during the deal.
The Holmes
deal. Birds of a feather, man. It runs in the blood.
Actually, we didn't even get to ask. We didn't even ask him about that. We should have totally asked him about that as we were here.
All right. Sorry to detract.
You're good. I agree with you. I still think. I feel bad because I was just hyping him up with the introduction, and I was hyping him up with all the other things. I'm still not sold on Ruggie, I'm just not sold
Dude,
on it.
look, he's great, man. It's nothing personal. He's great guy, like really at heart. I've known him for a long time. And then I mean he's obviously doing something very right when it comes to the league. But yeah, things are gonna get spicy. We talked about that too. Things are gonna get spicy for him over these next couple of years. So I understand why he's holding to that. Hey, I gotta win this year. So
Yeah.
I think Raggy is in a solid spot for this tier, but it's no denying he's built on a house of glass with Jamal Williams, like 15 rushing touchdowns from the 1 yard line. So, I mean, it's
Right.
awesome to see, but I have no faith in this team moving forward after this year, to be honest. As harsh as that sounds, sorry.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
no one's safe.
No, I don't think so. And I think when you depend on touchdowns, it's so volatile. So while it might work for this year, we'll see. And then not only that, but he's also potentially playing himself into a situation where Jamal Williams could hold out now, and looks like he might hold out. And so we'll see how that ends up shaping
Oh,
out.
that's a good point. Yeah, what's the latest on the holdout situation with the league?
So we'll take a look. By the way, Code, check your counter offer. We might have a second
Oh,
thing drop
okay.
on stream since I got back to you there. Let's take a look at the top for each league.
Oh, and I love it, by the way. I love how raw and authentic our stream is. You know, like if like I just had a moment where I had to step off, or we're making scenes, or just rolling with it. I mean, I think it's legit. It
Oh, you're
shows we're all
fired.
real
Never,
guys.
you're never coming back. You're fired. So, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, we've got stuff going on. We're just a bunch of dudes that love fantasy football.
Yeah.
Taking a look, Josh Allen. So quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow. No holdouts for quarterbacks as of right now. We look at running backs: 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette.
There's a lot of names on the board. It's interesting because like some people might not want to trade to
Oh, I hit
contenders,
the wrong button.
you know, and then there are other people that are like, well, I don't want to buy somebody because I'm rebuilding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then there's also the toilet bowl bracket. I haven't really talked about the whole toilet bowl bracket a whole lot. If I were in the toilet bowl bracket right now, I'd be looking at, hey, how can I upgrade my roster to potentially win to that 101? That's kind of where my thought process would be. Thankfully, I'm not in the toilet bowl bracket and probably won't be, but who knows?
No, there's no way.
So,
I think it's impossible for you with how many points you have.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Okay.
don't have to stress that
Yeah,
whatsoever.
but I mean, but still, that's kind of it makes things interesting because it's dynasty, but it's also contracts,
Right.
and it's like I feel like some of the hesitation with certain trades might be because like guys that are on 1 year deals aren't really going to be going for a whole lot unless that team is planning to re-sign them. So, that Marquise Brown trade that happened, obviously, Lose Like Flynn has a plan with that guy. So.
Yeah, I think it was a good deal.
Oh yeah,
for
it was
sure,
it was
from both
absolutely a
sides.
good deal, but it's not worth unless he re-signs him, and based
sure.
on that move, you would assume he's going to do that in the
And the other
offseason.
thing too is that Win Like Flynn can now hopefully put some more points on the board, get the win, and then also really screw up one of his division mates who's really fighting for that spot too. But to your point, Code, we have not talked about the toilet bowl a lot, and we've got two teams getting ready to fight for that. So bottom 4 teams, obviously, we're hanging out down here, man. It's great. In
Great
fact,
spot to be.
yeah. So before we talked a bit, I was going to make a joke on stream a few weeks ago and call it me versus you. We were both 1-9 or 1 and whatever it was, and I was going to call it the Battle of the Bastards. And I was like,
It
I don't
is
know if
the
he's going to
Battle
get
of the
mad,
Bastards.
but it definitely was the Battle of the Bastards. So it's the 4 of us down here, and whoever wins. So it's a round robin between the 3. For those of you not 100% familiar, round robin between all 4 teams in the toilet bowl bracket. Whoever comes out with the best record gets the 101. If there's a tie in record, it's then head-to-head matchup. If there's no tie in head-to-head matchup because you did that. Unless you absolutely tied, then it's points for. But the chances of that happening are so insane. How do you see yourself performing in that bracket? Do you think that I personally feel like you're the best team there, even though Webster Tigers' record's better. It's got to be between you and the Tigers, I feel like, for 101 and 102. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being tasked to win any games, I don't think that's where I want to be.
Okay.
I don't have any faith for me to win any sort of tournament right now, but that's okay. That's the plan. To be honest with you, I didn't know you had to win that to get the 101, so
Yeah.
maybe that changes things a little. But that's okay. That just changes things a little bit. But no, I don't have faith that I'll win it, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if I do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that mock draft we did, the mock draft show a couple weeks ago, we had like projected who was going to win certain matchups based on like where the draft picks were gonna lay out. And yeah, we actually had you winning the whole toilet bowl, which was why you got the 101. And we drafted you to pick Bijan Robinson because that's who we think is probably going to go 101. But obviously, it depends on the situation. Because if Bryce Young goes to Houston,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
becomes your
I
guy.
mean, that's going to be tough to lay off. But no, I mean, I think my RB2 options are Cam Akers, and my next best option is right now Rex Burkhead. So I think I'm going to
Right.
need a running back
Yeah.
sooner or later.
Yeah, I
pretty
would
large
not-
drop off. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Would be shot, and not only that, you take that and Ken Walker's your 1-2 punch would be nuts. How happy are you with how Ken Walker's looked, man? I mean, it's incredible how he's just come out of nowhere at the right time for you. You got him on a cheap
Yeah.
5-year deal.
Ken Walker, man, he's awesome. K9, that's my guy.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good friends who went to Michigan State, and I rave about him at work all the time. And plus the deal. I mean, is that the best contract in the league?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Which
by
is
like
funny
a
because-
landslide.
Which is funny because it's paired with Cam Akers, is probably the worst contract in the league. So
Probably.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
The only
Yeah,
part
but
that gets tricky, man, is I worry that he's going to do too well and hold out on you. So if he's in the top 12 running backs, his salary goes up to 60% of the average. So it would go up to probably like somewhere in the 50s. But like even still, to have a guy potentially RB1 for the 50, right? But then you can trade him or you can re-sign him. So, but the thing is like maybe he started too late, right? And maybe. Like, you don't want him to get hurt, but you wouldn't mind if he got, like, banged up and was not seriously injured for, like, a week or two or something like that. But he is right now, I think, like 14, 15, 16. So he's not there yet where you don't have to panic. But it's definitely a point where you're like, this guy could totally hit me in a holdout. Let me take a look now to make sure I don't tell you the wrong things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
he might be one of those players you just sign and worry about later. He's that good.
He's number 16 right now. Excuse me, 17 in PPR. So he's far enough off that you don't have to stress it yet, but close enough that you're like, a couple down weeks wouldn't make me too mad. So,
Yeah, it's tough also when you're trying to, I guess now, win the toilet bowl too. So it's a good problem to have. That's all I'll say.
yeah, that's true. And again, to your point, right? Like, I mean, if you have to sign him, even if, let's say his price one goes up to $50 in year one, which is where I think it would roughly be two. That's still not expensive to have he's a good dude from all I've seen in all his interviews, running hard and a run heavy offense, high draft cap, like everything, like all the boxes are checked. And you could sign him to a 5-year deal again. So that would really be, you really have him for 6 years and not have to think about it too. So you've got that in your pocket potentially, and a lot of cap room still with all the moves you've made so far this year.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm really that's my end goal here, is to gain a lot of picks and clear a lot of space for when I am trying to go all in and make that leap. So that's the ultimate goal here, and that's what I'm looking forward to. Maybe not 2023, but 2024 I think is my real year.
So that was a question I was about to ask you as we get ready to wrap this up here and move on to our next section here with K Miggs of Brownout. Do you think 2023 is your year? I feel like you've got enough draft picks that you could push it in for 2023. Do you think it makes sense to hold on to 2024? Do you want to go for 2023? What do you think would make more sense? Without spoiling your strategy, of course.
No, it's pretty clear if you look at how many picks I have. I would say that I don't think 2023 is going to be my year. I think if I do get Bijan and I do get maybe another receiver, it's going to take at least 1 year for those guys to actually be like fantasy studs. So, and I'm going to have to lean on those guys. Like, look at my receivers. I would say my wide receiver one right now is George Pickens at this point, and he still needs some time to groom. So, I don't think 2023 is going to be the year. I think I'll be kind of dicey. I might be a fringe playoff team, but I think 2024 is when I'm ready to go all in. Potentially shed some of those 2024 first round picks, and then get a stud like at that point. I hope maybe a DK, maybe a Jamar Chase, maybe one of those stud wide receivers, because that's the biggest thing my team's missing, honestly.
Yeah.
Debo Samuel on the block. Watson's 25th miss has been pushing it for a while. Has been trying to make it happen.
I have a
Hasn't happened
rule
yet, but-
that you can't take any 49ers skill players. So good luck with that.
Oh,
man.
all right.
Yeah, that's one of the teams that is. I don't take Patriots running backs, so I totally understand those
Yeah.
random arbitrary rules that we make that make sense to us, but nobody else understands the pain. So, because
49ers skill players and anyone on the Jags.
yeah, because
Yeah.
that's all trauma right there, right?
Yeah.
That means that you've had
Yeah.
one of those before, and they just tore you down.
They tore, yeah. Oh yeah, it's like that one year I took Kyler Murray, and I think he had that game against the Lions where the Cardinals just imploded. Sorry, Flynn. But yeah, that after that game, I was like, I'm never drafting or trading for Murray
Yeah.
again.
So we all have those horror
it was-
stories.
My first round of playoffs, I think I was like against like the 4th seed or the 5th seed or something, and I was like expected to cruise, and then of course the Cardinals just flopped, and Murray scored like 10 points, and I was just like, great.
Cade, what's your fantasy football? I will never take this player again story before we move on.
Oh, dude.
If you have
Cody
one off
knows
the top of your head.
high upside tends to let you
Oh,
down.
yep, it's Will Jackson.
Yeah.
That'd be Mr. Number 8, Lamar Jackson. He has a very high upside, dude. Crazy skill, crazy potential, lazy, absolutely lazy.
Got COVID
And
for a
I,
week.
dude,
Like 3
you could
weeks.
give him to me. You can give him to me, and then I would just turn down the trade, even if you said I want nothing in return. But it's funny because that would be the only fair price. Pay
Yeah.
nothing, get him, bench him.
That's
Only
why,
if they.
that's why he was so excited about the trade that I made early on with Lamar, even though Lamar's QB, what,
Mhm.
5 right now? 4 right now?
Oh man,
Yeah.
dude, he had such a
QB5.
high upside. The dude is crazy. The dude is crazy, man. But I won't touch him.
That's great. Alan, anything else you want to talk about before we bounce? We're going to head to K Miggs, but I wanted to check with you and see if there's anything else you had that you wanted to throw in here at the last second.
No, that's all I have. If anyone, I'll just end with this. We have a couple more hours from the trade deadline. I'm always open for business. So let's see the offers coming in.
Yeah, I might send you something.
4 hours
I'm
left,
looking
guys,
right now.
before it locks out, right? We're doing 1 a.m. Eastern. Cade asked to extend to 1 a.m. Eastern. That's what we're doing. We've only had
Yeah,
one
appreciate that.
trade happen so far since we've been live, but I've got a feeling there's going to be 1 or 2 more at least coming soon. Alan, thanks for hanging out with us, man. And do you live in D.C. with Cam Hoon, or are you in that area?
No, me and Cameron went to high school together back in Houston, and now I live in Bentonville, Arkansas. It's right near Fayetteville. If you know where that is. But
No.
yeah, completely different side of the country.
Okay. I was going to say, I knew you guys were buddies, and I know he's up in D.C., so he and I are supposed to hang out and grab a beer here in about literally a month from today, so I didn't know. I was going to say, if you're up there too, you should come on.
I would join if I could, but
Yeah, just fly out, man. It's no
skipping
big
the
deal.
jump away. Oh, hell yeah, brother.
All right.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Yeah, have a good one. Talk
Yep.
to you soon.
Good luck, brother.
All right, let's get K Miggs in here. See if we can make that happen. Code, do you want to push a button or two while we're waiting? I try to pull this in here, or are you thinking more?
No, I mean I like it.
Doesn't say.
I
demo
just
delay.
am surprised that
Does say
because
demo
I thought you said that you were gonna counter, and it's the same offer I sent you.
Yeah. My bad.
is
That
that
was-
what you wanted?
Yeah,
'Cause,
that
like,
was
that's
what I
kind of
wanted.
what we tentatively
totally-
agreed on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hit the wrong button, so my fault. That was.
He
that was me
wanted to
being
be the
silly.
one that sent it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
if that's all it was, then I'm fine
You're
with that.
accepting
I just
his offer.
I'm
his
just-
offer.
I'm just
not
waiting for
the
him to
other way
push the
around.
button so I can put it up on the screen, but you know.
Okay, yeah, no, I thought you might have had a legitimate
No.
counteroffer, and I wanted to hear that. But
I
if
want
you don't,
I want
then,
$1 FAAB with it.
I'm totally okay with doing this. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and send it through.
All right,
it's
there it
not
is,
very,
second
it's not
deal of the
very
night.
surprising.
Totally not
It's not
staged at
impressive.
all, but Carson Wentz for a late 2023 third round pick.
Okay.
We'll touch on it quickly here as we get K Miggs, but I needed a quarterback. I'm not a believer in Wentz, but I need a quarterback. Code, also not a believer in Wentz. And you kind of said you don't want to sign him, so I mean, this is just
This point,
you're getting
the
something
Mike
for
Wi-
someone you didn't want in, right?
the Mike White show was happening. I might legit re-sign Mike White if he can prove that he's the guy in New York. I know they're trying to give Zach Wilson a chance. There's no way. I don't think there's any way he gets that job back because the locker room hates him and the fans hate him, and he sucks. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm like,
I think
once I got Mike White on board, and I was like, I know Wentz is coming back off IR. I'm not gonna have a roster spot for him because I've got too many roster spots right now. Too many guys on the active roster, and I was like, I need to just sell him for anything. and we had talked about a third. I probably would have done 2/4. His price wasn't expensive, but I mean, Wentz is not. I don't like hate him. I know that you and I were both kind of talking like, we don't like really like him, but it's
Right.
like he did have 2 games this season before the injury where he scored 30 points. So like that's easily QB1 numbers. It's just you're gonna have to deal with
There
the
he is.
inconsistency.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is going to be dealing with inconsistency, but for where we're both at, I think it's a good deal for us both. As we are joined here by Sad Cavs fan, also known as K Migs. How are you doing, K Migs?
Yo,
Yours?
I'm good, man. I'm here. I put my makeup on. I'm ready to put on my camera and everything. What's up with just the voice only?
Oh, we're on stream. Save that for after. Hold on.
Yeah.
The question. So this is true. Are you? This is going to sound so weird because we talked during the draft and all. But are you wearing pants? He messaged me. Do I have to wear pants? And so I just want to know if you're wearing pants right now
That's
because
great.
he asked if you had to wear pants on the stream.
You want me to be completely honest? But that no, yeah, no. Well, I'll plead the fifth, man.
Plead the fifth. Can't go wrong with plead
I
the
got
fifth.
some sweats on. All right, I got
That's
some
fair.
That's
I
okay.
love it. Well, hey, I have some sweats on. My wife makes clothes, and so here I'll show you guys. I have these dope sweats that she made me.
Does she
They're
really
all
make clothes?
colorful. Oh
No
yeah,
shit. Those are
Yeah.
badass, bro.
yeah, man.
I'm
I have
bored. I
a-
just got Under Armour sweats.
hey, that's all right.
So, Code, are you wearing pants then? Well, we'll just end it with that.
Plead the fifth.
Play the fifth.
I'm on the
Two,
K
plead
Migs
the fifth.
train.
So, K Migs,
The world may never know.
Appreciate you coming in to join us. We want to talk with you. So, this is obviously the trade deadline. We're 4 hours away from the trade deadline. So, I thought it would be fun to run through the worst trades of the year and touch on every single team.
Okay.
The tricky part is that not every team had necessarily a bad trade, but we had to do one for every team because that was the rule that I made up in my head. And
Yeah, that's fair.
so none of you guys have seen these trades before, so I figured we'd just go through them one by one and kind of talk about each of them as we go and see which ones we think really were the worst trades of the league, or was this bad, and we can kind of rank them towards the end. So we'll go ahead and start with this one. With Dan Flash is sending away Austin Eckler and a first-round pick, getting back Chris Godwin and David Montgomery. And this one was, by the way, a lot of these involve K Migs on the receiving side. There he is. There's the man, the myth, the legend himself right there. How are you?
Yeah, I'm a doofus, man. I'm on like the Twitch website, and whatever. What can I do?
It's all good. You look beautiful. Is that a Cleveland Brown shirt? Is that Cleveland Brown merch behind you too?
The land.
Let's see, dude. I'm just on my phone, man. I'm acting like such an old man right here. I got some stuff.
That looks like a Browns thing.
Oh, I got some Cleveland Guardian stuff back there. Some Cleveland Browns Stadium frame back there. So
You've been to a few Browns games this year, haven't you?
yeah. I've been to 3. Actually, that's more than I've ever gone in one season. And then I'm going to the first home game with Deshaun, so against the Ravens in a couple weeks.
Oh my God, Deshaun and the Browns against the Ravens will be a
Nice.
fucking good game to go to, I'm sure. Is that like a night game or anything like that? A Sunday night or Monday night or?
I think it's a flex game. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if that ends up being like a Sunday night game or something like awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Hopefully, have a good time there, and hopefully they get the
Wait,
win.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna turn off my camera while I get the Discord set up on my computer, though.
You're good. Sounds good.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
talk about this one. And so what I was going back to this point before I saw that beautiful man. A lot of these trades where the one team I'm saying is the worst, that got the worst end of the deal. The team that got the good end of the deal is K Migs, and like 3 or 4 or 5 of these. So just be careful. Trading with him.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to advertise. Not trading with K Migs.
Well,
but just be
so
careful.
this trade happened in the beginning of the season, right?
And so that's another point I completely forgot to mention. We are
Because-
looking back at these and saying, now that we know everything, this is bad. So there are certain trades that, when they happened 3 months ago, they're like, this was a good trade, this is fair, this is. We're talking about how has the trade shaped up. So with how this trade has shaped up, this was the one that I thought of. 2024 first and RB1 overall for PPR
Yeah,
for Chris
I
Godwin,
mean-
who is wide receiver 48, if not mistaken, and David Montgomery. And David Montgomery hasn't been too bad. But I think when you look at that now, knowing how the season's gone, especially for Dan Flashes who are competing for a playoff spot, I think you'd rather hang
Oh,
on to
if
Eckler here.
if he had Eckler, it might be a totally different story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I love Eckler. I had him last year, but I didn't think he was gonna repeat what he did last year because he had like a ridiculous amount of touchdowns. So that's why I didn't really go for him this year. But apparently that was a mistake because he's still Eckler. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad trade looking at it in a vacuum. But I mean, now based off of what's happened, you know.
Yeah, lowest points scored for Eckler so far this season was 11 in week 1. Everything else, the second lowest, or 2 points of 13. And then everything else has been 18 at a minimum, if not in the mid-20s, mid to high 30s. Like, Eckler's just been doing super well. And again, Godwin, when he's been back playing, he's been doing really well as well, as I pull that up on the screen here, or on my screen. But I just think that, so number 26 PPR was out for a few weeks, obviously, but it had a really good week last week against the Browns with 32 points. Part of me feels like a first in Eckler for what Dan Flash's position is right now. I feel like I'd rather have that than Godwin Montgomery. So that's what we went with there. Moving on to the worst trade for the Webster Tigers. Joe Mixon sent away for Madison Tolbert and a 2023 fourth. Again,
This one broke the league.
Yeah, this is so look, Madison was hyped up to have this year. So is Tolbert.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Webster Tigers loves those 4th-round picks, but God, what a steal for Mixon! I feel like.
Did I comment on this? Did I say that Mixon got sold for chips? Is that what I said?
Probably.
That's probably
along
what you
those lines.
said, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was shook at this one. Cody and I were actually doing some cardio, and he told me about it. I'm like, man, I don't really know what to say, man.
Cade, I don't think you've disliked one of my trades. I'm pretty sure you're my biggest fan.
He is. Yeah,
Look,
he is.
I am, and I have been, dude. I have been, because ever since the beginning, I was like, who's letting this guy run the table? Is he low key cash apping people for these trades because he's finessing? And I've absolutely loved it, man. I've loved it.
I gotta send you some merch, man.
Hey, I'll take it. Give me a brown out shirt, bro. I'll wear it, dude.
So no joke, and I don't know how much I want to spoil or not, but I have actually been very much looking into designing shirts for each of our teams and sending them out to everybody for like Christmas or something like that. It's looking a little bit more difficult than I wanted it to be, because I can't find anywhere to make like a custom jersey online without ordering like 25 of each, and then being like $30 each or something crazy. But I am 100% working on it. So
that's awesome.
Maybe one day, basically. But yeah, I mean, this is just a steal for Mixon. And I know you're trying to offload Mixon right now, K-Migs, but did you feel like this was as much as robbery now as you did then?
I don't know what was. I mean, I like Madison a lot. I viewed that trade as like Madison's got a lot of value going into next season as a free agent.
Right.
I don't know how I don't know, man. I mean, I really like Mixon. He's on a big contract, though. I have been trying to offload him. I'm holding on that right now, though, because I think like it doesn't make sense for me to sell Mixon. The only reason I would sell Mixon right now is just the contract maneuvering, essentially. But like he helps me win now, you know. So
yeah,
I also just didn't got a lot of bites. I don't know. Also, Tolbert had some hype. I mean, Tolbert
he did have a lot of
hype.
camp hype.
He had some camp hype, and then week 1, he's been like a healthy scratch. I think he's had like, 20 snaps all season,
Yeah. So, I mean, you made up good with that one. And to your point, Madison did have a lot of hype, still has a lot of hype, especially I think he's a free agent this year, so he could go be an RB1 somewhere easily, I think.
He's on a cheap contract in this league, too. It might be like 1 year. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think also with, crap, I forgot the Webster Tigers. I think that was one of the first trades he made too. And remember, he took over this squad that was auto drafted.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I also think that like early on, he was trying to maybe like have his hands on some more deals just to like make it his own team. Remember like that auto drafting with auction is all wonky. You know?
Yeah.
Super
It was
wonky.
pretty rough.
Yeah, they definitely the computer drafted stars and studs, right? Like it was going all in on players, and then it eventually just got to the point that it was nothing else. So when you looked at like their top player for each position, you put the Tigers team up against anybody else's, it looked comparable to them, and then you looked at the rest of the roster and you're like, who are these people? So
Yeah.
that was a good deal, I think, for the Tigers at the time to try to get some more depth, offload a player they maybe weren't a fan of. But looking back at it now, not necessarily the best. But hey, this was officially the start of the 2023 fourth round pick collection. For Rutro Raggy, Zeke for the first. I know that we talked about it earlier, and he was on talking to us earlier, saying he thinks his biggest mistake was CEH for a second. But I went with Zeke for a first. I just feel like for a first round pick, especially now at the trade deadline, you could throw a first round pick for a better player that's on a better deal that isn't as old and maybe get more. Zeke is, I think, assigned at $36 because I remember drafting him because he was just so cheap. But he's on a 1-year deal, and so that just adds more murkiness. And again, it just adds to the age of Raggy's team, and just for a first, there's some argument it's a late first, but I don't know. What do you guys think about this one?
He probably could have shipped away the second and Clyde for Elliott instead of giving away a first. A first is just a lot of value. But thing is, look, he's 10-2. If you're gonna buy a running back, you're doing it now. You know what I mean? When you're contending for the title. So, I mean, and like you said, I think he's got 15 points in the last couple of games for him. So he's not been hurting him. It sucks to lose that first though.
Yeah. Moving on to our next one. So I'm just now reading the Twitch chat that someone's name is Eckler is not good. Then talking shit about Eckler is not good. Last one for the Jamarcus.
Well, my younger brother's on the Twitch chat right now. So
maybe that's him.
That's
The worst trade of the year for Justin Zelly. Now, in my opinion, this is the best worst trade of the year. But Justin Zelly only had 3 to pick from, so it makes plain where I'm coming from. So he sent away Pat Fryermuth, got Brevin Jordan, Chase Claypool, and a 2023 second. So I think this is a really fair deal, but out of all the ones that he did, this is his worst. Reason being, going into the toilet bowl very soon, trying to upset some teams in his division and knock him out of playoff contention potentially, has not one starting active tight end on his team that's healthy right now. Chase Claypool's on the Bears, so see you later. The only thing that he gets back is that second, but Pat Fryermuth is tight end number 7 right now in PPR with a couple concussions. Again, this is by a long shot the best trade, the fairest trade of the worst trades of the year.
I'm the worst.
Yeah, so I just think it's worth mentioning because this, isn't a bad trade. I'm happy with this, even though I know I opened for Fryermuth. He's my guy.
Oh yeah,
sure
at the time,
this too. Yeah.
At the time, everyone was saying you overpaid for it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, it paid off for you, that's for sure.
Yeah. So both of us are happy there. I don't think there's too much discussion for this one. All right, K-Migs, what do you think we said yours was, if you had to guess?
Which one?
Your worst trade of the year. What do you think we picked for you? And by we, I mean me. I say we, but it's really me.
Oh my
You've
gosh!
done 87 of them so far
wait.
this year.
He's done so many deals.
I know. I haven't done as many as implications though. I mean, you've traded so many times. You've ended up with the same guys that you've traded multiple
3 times. It's now I've gotten back the player I traded away.
That's when you know you're trading too much.
Cool.
Crap. I'm on the web app right now. I swear I know how to use computers.
Well, the web app also sucks for Sleeper. It is terrible.
It's terrible.
Well, I didn't plan this out. I've got Discord on my phone right now, so it's not. My worst trade. Probably the Mari Cooper one, I guess. Is that the one where I got Etienne?
So yeah, you sent away, or you got Etienne for Amari Cooper. But no, I didn't go with that one. Here's the one we went with. And again, this is complete foresight, right? Now having the knowledge that we have, when you sent away a 2023 third-round pick for Chris Evans. So I think for the most part, your trades have been good, but you got the guy who isn't even the backup to Mixon and sent away a third-round pick for it.
If that's my worst trade, man, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I just think that this one, when I looked at everything, I was like, yeah, it's got to be this one. Because while I think that the ETN was an overpay for sure, I mean, you talk about it, Chris Evans hasn't even seen the field, right? So he just kind of
not this
pick
year.
in a sense.
They were talking about him being a special teams ace, and then apparently they just aren't using him at all.
He was decent last year in the little run that he got, and I assume just at his age and I think he had okay draft capital that they were going to give him some run. I think he's a good pass catcher too, but obviously, what do I know? So he's not.
Apparently, P. Ryan is the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, he's crushing it in the spotlight right now. The Cooper deal. The reason why I said that one is on paper I'm getting rid of a stud wide receiver, and that was hard for me to do as well because I've got Watson, and I really love that stack.
Yeah.
But I guess I can still hang my hat on having Njoku.
Yeah.
I just kind of like what Zoinks was talking about, I was able to. I've got like a super deep team, so like I'm
Yeah.
able to
Yeah,
sell some
definitely.
pieces to fill in some gaps, and that's kind of like what I was trying to do with Etienne. I mean, I was trying to trade with you for Etienne. Like at one point, you had like a ton of stud running backs, and then you
Yep.
threw in the towel already.
Yeah, yeah. No, we were talking ETN early on, and then I sold him.
Yeah.
I sold out him quick. The reason I sold him so quickly was because I couldn't get. It's ironic. I couldn't get James Robinson, his handcuff, who they A traded away, B is now on my team, and I threw ETN away because of that. So I have learned patience. Is been a big lesson learned for me this year. When we look at the Kung Fu Pandas, they sent Tua Tagovailoa away for Zach Wilson and a 2023 third round pick.
Oof.
That's a rough one, and this is another one that you won out on. And again, we have the knowledge that we have now. Back
Yeah.
then, we
Yeah.
didn't have this knowledge, but wow, how
And
unstoppable!
look,
would
there
the
was
Pandas
no
be, Tua?
predicting that.
No,
Like,
I
there was
know.
no
Well, I mean, Tua. Remember going into the season, people were so skeptical that
Yeah.
either Waddle or Tyreek weren't going to produce.
Yep.
Tua was a bust. Whereas
Yep.
if you
Yep.
actually go back statistically and look at Tua last year, he had a crap O line. He wasn't terrible. Like, yeah, he was benched a couple games for Fitzpatrick, I think, but like, he wasn't terrible. I also thought I have too many shares of Zach Wilson in like a few of my leagues, so
Yep.
I
Right.
was bullish on Zach Wilson, and I'm like, okay, whatever, let's trade him away in this league and hope for the best. So I actually thought
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you
I
saying
was
that.
overpaying just a little bit for Tua.
Yep, and here we are.
It's
I remember you
funny
saying
now
that
with
as
all
that
the
happened.
news about Wilson.
I mean, he can't. Yeah. I don't know. I think people are a little bit. I don't know about the Mike White hype. Like last year, didn't he have like one good game and then he like bombed like a few games? Like last
Yeah,
week
he lost
looked good.
feeling in his hand or whatever. That one
Last
game,
week
the
he
Colts.
played the Bears and they're like down Brisker and some other like key secondary guys. Like I still think he looked better
Yeah.
than Wilson did against some bad teams, but I don't know if I really buy Mike White.
We'll have to see. The fans and the team locker rooms behind him at least, but
Yeah.
who knows?
We'll see how it goes. Moving on to the next one here. Lose Like Flynn sent away a 2023 second round pick for Wan'Dale Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson currently sitting at wide receiver number 90. This could be a piece of, he got his guy, but that 2023 second is going to be, 14 overall, 15 overall, 16 overall. And I feel like Wan'Dale Robinson, I mean, when I got that trade offer sent to me, that was one of the fastest smash accepts ever. And Robinson has not done much. Is currently hurt, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
ACL, I think. He's super talented, but yeah, I mean, what's to say this 2023 second round pick isn't another Wan'Dale Robinson? So
Trying to pull up his stuff now to make sure I'm not crazy, but yeah, he's on IR
he had like
right now.
one
Yep,
really
Nate.
good game. I think he had like 12 targets and 10 catches or something and a touchdown. But other than that, I don't think he's done a whole lot.
Yeah, 9 catches, 100 yards is one of the
Okay.
games he had last week, and a touchdown as well. But obviously hurt from there. So that was the one with Lose Like Flynn. And then your last division rival here, K-Migs. Let's talk about the Cam Hun and fullback's great again. He sent Jake Ferguson and a 2024 second away for Tyler Higbee before consequently trading Higbee back to me, actually, and taking like a pretty heavy loss there. Just another overpay for a tight end that he held on to for literally 2 weeks before saying, take him back, please. And then I still got to keep the pick in Ferguson. I forget what I ended up sending back. I should look at the rest of that trade just to really get the full perspective of it, I guess. But felt like that was definitely an overpay for a tight end there when I think at that point in time, Juwan Johnson was actually still a free agent and anybody could have picked him up.
Yeah.
Which
he's not bad.
No, he sent him back to me with Sky Moore, 2 fourths and a third for Gibson and your second round pick. So I basically got Sky Moore for Tyler Higbee in a sense with some fluff both ways. So bit of an overpay there. Moving on to mine. Everybody knows what this is because I, screwed this one up and talked all this shit and
Is it
all that. But
Joe Burrow?
no, I
Oh,
still
Sony.
stand by this Joe Burrow
Okay.
trade. Sony Michel,
Yeah.
after Sony Michel got cut by the Dolphins, and as he got cut, I sent a third-round pick to Unicorn Bolt saying, I bet you he goes to the Texans. And
Or somewhere, yeah.
and now
He just
he's like
gets
the
carried.
5th running back for the Chargers and doesn't play, and he's currently a free agent in our league.
Which is crazy because he started to like take snaps and touches from Eckler as they were trying to spell him, and then I guess he just fell out of favor.
Yeah, so I mean, I made fun of you, K-Mix, for flushing a third down the drain, but I mean, I really, really, really flushed a third down the drain too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the one I went with. Bro, so K-Mix, back me up because Code and K don't believe in me. That Burrow trade was totally worth it for me.
You got to remind me. Can you pull those details up, or you don't have a screen?
I
I don't have a screen for it, but it was
I'll
basically
tell
what
you.
it boils down to is Burrow for Trey Lance and 2 first-round picks. One of them being mine, so very early.
Yeah.
And I was
I
1
mean,
and 4.
I still think, I think Trey Lance definitely has less value than he did, prior to that ankle injury. But
yeah.
he's still worth, like, let's say a first, right? If we're talking in
Okay.
terms of like, so that's 3 firsts for Burrow. I mean, I in most of my dynasties, you guys have seen like the trades that I've done in like other leagues, right? Like there's like 4 or 5 QBs in super flex. I would never move unless I'm getting like some like mammoth offer,
Yeah.
And if I'm not a good team, I would consider 3 firsts or 2 firsts and a high upside quarterback. I think that's a good deal.
Cool. I just want you to make me feel better because nobody.
Yeah,
else
I mean
makes me
that's
feel
really
better.
it. I completely disagree with
Yeah.
what I just said. I just want to make you feel better.
It was also the following week. It stung, Brian. No, it put everybody on ice because the next week Burrow dropped like 40,
50
like something
something.
dumb. Yeah, 50 points or something.
I
But, yeah, I
would've-
mean-
I would have never done it if I wasn't 1 and 4 at the time. Is the way that I
Yeah,
look at it.
and plus, there's no way to know. No way to know he's about to go off, and then no way to know he doesn't, throw his shoulder out the next game or something. So
Mm-hmm.
I see a ton of Burrow because AFC
I like
North, right? He's so good. I mean, I love Burrow. But the only thing, man, is like he gets sacked so much. Like I just don't know. Oh, another trade just went
Breaking
through.
news:
Oh, here we go.
What is it?
Derek Carr and a
Wojbomb.
2023 second for Treylon Burks.
Okay.
hey, that's not bad actually because you're getting that
He's
second. Car's kind of busted.
Buying a receiver.
So
And Burks has been balling out.
Burks has been
And
doing
he's
well
on a
since the
pretty good
injury.
deal.
Burks is on a
Yeah.
super cheap $13 4-year deal.
That
Derek
is
Carr,
very cheap,
1-year
yeah.
deal, $50 expiring. Got the second out of it as well. Cam Hood and I have been talking. I've been in talks for Carr since like week
For a lot of
3.
teams.
But that is what ends up happening there between Cam Hood and I. I think I've traded with Cam Hood more than I've traded with anybody
Okay.
else.
Now you've got decisions to make with your quarterback room for next year.
Yeah, so that's the
You
other.
get
Like,
that
I've
second round to play with. That's pretty nice, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, there's that one. So we've
So
got
you
3 on
bought
the
2
stream.
quarterbacks tonight.
Bought 2 quarterbacks, yeah, because I felt like going into this rookie draft, everybody knew I was going to take a quarterback. Like everybody knew I was going to take a quarterback. I had to, because I had Trey Lance and Diddley.
And nobody, basically. Yeah.
And so now I feel like I've got some options, even though my wide receiver room is still absolute dog shit. I feel like hopefully.
I was going to
can do
say,
something there.
you've been big on the acquiring young assets at wide receiver, and now you sold one away. But I still like that deal.
Yeah. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks available for Dan Flashes. All right, Code Diamond Dogs. What do we think worst deal is for you? Any guesses? And we'll. I don't know. We'll just
I
kinda
mean,
go to it. But
just go into it. But in my opinion, I think every deal I've made has been a good one.
if
For
I'm
that, I
not
wouldn't really
mistaken-
make a deal.
If I'm not
it wasn't.
mistaken, this is another one that's like not that bad in comparison, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, Taylor Heineke. You sent away Taylor Heineke and a 4th
Yeah.
for Gardner Minshew. So obviously you got your handcuff for Jalen Hurts, but the way that you've been playing the backup quarterback game with Mike White, Andy Dalton, and a couple of these other players, sending away Heineke would be nice to have him right now. Was the thought process there? So.
In hindsight, yeah, it is probably a bit too much. I probably could have just got away with trading Heineke for Minshew straight up, but I thought
Yeah.
Tigers might try to fuck with me because I have Hurts. And I didn't want to take that risk. I was like, I'll just give you the 4th. I don't care.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not only
but-
that, the obsession with it there. And again, look, we talked about this. This is all hindsight, right? But at the time, not a bad deal. But now knowing that Heineke's playing okay, we could just give you another piece there as you make
Yeah.
your push. That's probably the worst trade because you haven't traded a whole bunch, and all of yours have been pretty solid too. All right, moving on to number 11, Watson's 25th masseuse. What do we got here? Sending away Mac Jones and a 1st for Zach
Oh,
Wilson.
man. Look, all right. Before we even start talking about this, Mike, what would you pay for Zach Wilson right now in a different league?
In a different league. Watson's is in my DMs right now trying to send me.
I know, dude.
Look, because I mean, I'm like, I wouldn't send the third that you gave me for Wentz for Wilson.
You wouldn't send it for the third? I would send it for a
No.
third, just as a hey, we'll see how this goes. You're telling me Wilson doesn't go to another team and compete for a starting job next year at a
I hasn't
the worst
proven
case
anything at
scenario?
all this entire career in the NFL, other than he bangs moms. Like I mean, like,
K-Mix, back me
I
up.
mean,
For a third?
The only, yeah, I would do it for a third. I mean, the only thing is like if you have that kind of capital, if you're rebuilding, I would do it. I mean, look, he hasn't looked that great. He hasn't played that many games. I think New York Jets, New York fan base is going to overreact. I'm not saying that he's looked great. I mean, he looked
Right.
kind of bad,
Yeah.
pretty bad. That being said, he was a what overall pick? I mean,
Super high.
The Jets were not the only team that wanted him. If the
Mhm.
Jets move on from him, I mean, dude, there's other teams that'll take. I mean, didn't Josh Rosen get a couple chances?
Yeah.
yeah, he played in a few teams before he actually just hit the road. Didn't the Browns sign him? They
Zach
brought him on
Wilson,
in the
second
preseason.
overall
Yeah,
by the
like,
Jets
yeah.
in the 2021 draft. Second overall. There's no way that he's done. You look at what Wentz has been doing. You look at what Goff has been doing after they went 1-2. There's no way he doesn't go to another team and get a shot. There's no way he's not throwing a DJ Moore next year or going down to New Orleans. Like, I could totally see that happen.
That would be so Carolina if they like look at that QB room, man. Like if they added Zach Wilson with like Baker and Darnold, and I mean, it would just make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, I think number 2 overall. There's no way he doesn't. And
it's either
look,
him or Wentz.
Yeah, no offense to the Jets, but like there are going to be some teams that say this thing, well, like, hey, he hasn't done well in the locker room, and hey, he hasn't. And someone else is going to be like, yeah, it's the fucking Jets, and then you're like, oh yeah, you're right. Like it could be that simple. All right, moving on to the last one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say maybe the Colts. I mean, then they tend to make mistakes at quarterback. Maybe
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we'll go young this time and get a schmuck like Zach Wilson. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who else was I thinking of? Colts, Panthers, and maybe Texans. I don't know. It depends. I mean, there's some really good quarterbacks potentially coming out of this draft.
Yeah.
So if you don't
Yeah,
get one of
definitely.
those guys, maybe you're like, okay, maybe we can get Wilson for like, I don't know what he's going for in the actual NFL, like a third or a fourth, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's a good point. Like
Yeah.
maybe so the Texans have holes everywhere, right? Who's to say the Jets don't try to send Wilson to the Texans, their first this year, their first next year, and I don't know, one of the 18 running backs they have that the Texans are into to be a handcuff with Pierce.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that could easily be something that could happen too. So just to try to shore up some more holes. I don't know. And then Cade, we did not exclude you. Don't worry. You only have one or two deals so far, but we wanted to throw one your way, and I'll completely explain where this is coming from. When you traded away A.J. Dillon for a 2023 second-round pick, I know that you're trying to obviously get back in the draft since a lot of your picks are traded away, but you are holding on to the most points for 6 seed, and you are trading away points. That's the only reason we went this way.
Yeah,
You think that's
it
fair,
was
or-
it was risky. Yeah, I mean, no, definitely fair to put it up here. You know, and Code and I were talking, and I was just I'm a bit desperate for picks. You know, I got this team, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna sit on my freaking hands next
During
this
the
coming
draft,
draft, bro, and just watch everyone play the game. And since I felt like I had met some of my needs regarding my running back situation, I was willing, and I think it's super fair going Code's way too, and that's why I was even glad a little bit. I was like, dude, thanks for working with me, giving me a pick back.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. You know, the picks could bust. You know, for anybody, we could have a first round, a fourth round. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They could absolutely bust. And then we're just like, wow, I gave away so much for that. But it was definitely a risk I was willing to take. I felt like I wasn't really using Dillon, and almost felt kind of wrong too, because he is going to perform.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we-
actually, like the kicker for this deal, before you talk, Mike, the kicker for this deal was because I had Aaron Jones. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't have Aaron Jones.
Yes, yeah, he really wanted it too, because
too. Yeah.
he can kind of double up there on those options.
Yeah, then obviously you look at your running back room that you still have: Christian McCaffrey, Devin Singletary, Miles Sanders. I mean, Miles Sanders obviously going nuts last week, putting up the 34 points he did. So it's not like you're
Gilbert's.
hurting for running backs, and you've got the good depth in that flex spot still. So definitely not a bad deal at all. I love that you just also took over the team and cut like 5 players from your roster immediately. Thought that was great.
we had to clean up shop, dude.
Team Havoc. You never know what's gonna happen next.
My own players aren't even safe, dude. No one's safe.
When we look
We
at the
should have
upcoming
ranked.
week- Go ahead.
We should have spent time ranking the best trade offers from Who Shall Not Be Named.
Oh man. I
we should've-
saw
well,
some early on that Code had shared with me as I was doing some of the trade reviews, and I was shook. I'm like, all right, dude, look, I'm not even a manager. I have no skin in the game at this point in time, and no interest. But I'm like, dude, these are kind of flawed. You can't do. These are supposed to be friends. Friends don't treat friends like this.
My favorite was when he sent Valdez Scantling for Derrick Henry straight up, and then withdrew that and said, no, Valdez Scantling for Henry in a 4th. That's the one.
Channeling is
I was just like, what?
When we look at this
Yeah, I guess
upcoming...
I
Okay. Yeah. That's
nah,
a good one.
I wasn't.
When we look at this upcoming week, we've got Brown out against fullbacks great again for that featured matchup, and that's got to be a no-brainer. This really depends on
this is
how that
huge.
6 seed shapes up, right? Because if Brown out wins this one, leaps back over fullbacks great again. If Brown out loses this one, you probably knocked down and possibly a 6 seed, which you're fine. Like you are not locked into the playoffs by any means, K-Makes, but you are locked into the playoffs with how many points you have. So you don't have to stress that. But the thing is that you could easily, by beating fullbacks here, knock a division rival out of the playoffs, which would be kind of cool too. So that's our featured matchup. Watson's 25th against the Implications there, where Implications looking to play spoiler and hopefully get their draft pick in a better position. Dan Flash against Webster Tigers. Webster Tigers could still kind of make a weird run. It's like a 1% chance of happening, but hey, why not? Justin Stilly against Raggy. That game has no impact on anything anywhere. Diamond Dogs against Team Havoc. Havoc needing to just put up points. Diamond Dogs trying to hold on, and one more win will secure the division. I think Kung Su Panda against Lose Like Flynn. Lose Like Flynn trying to play spoiler there. None of these games, this sounds really mean, but none of these games are super exciting other than, in my opinion, the featured matchup of the week. How do you feel going into that as GM of Brown out? Do you think you've got this one locked down? I just know that division is so crazy. But
Big
where's your
trade
head
just
at?
dropped.
Oh my goodness, let's take a
Big
look.
trade. That's actually a lot to pay for Williams.
Mike Williams,
Oh,
for
that's-
Curtis Samuel, Tyler Algier, and a 2nd-round
Yeah.
pick.
That's an interesting trade, given that he re-aggravated his ankle and he would need him for like the next. Well, I guess he's locked
Yeah.
into the playoffs.
So he's got Keenan Allen too, so he's really invested in the Chargers receivers.
Does he
Yeah.
have Herbert? I can't remember.
No, Herbert's on Alan McNatt's team, so Justin Stelly. Wow, that's a big one. B. Flynn with 2 of these steals tonight, by the way.
He's
By the way,
making moves.
All
Well,
you guys are giving me shit for adding people back to my team. Curtis Samuel started on B. Flynn's team a while ago and is now back on the team. That was a candidate for worst trade of the year for a different team. I'll have to look and see who it was really quickly. It was with Unicorn Bolt. See you later. He'll come back in a second.
oh, we
too.
lost him. Okay.
I'll be right back. But that was actually a trade, Curtis Samuel with
I like
Unicorn
that
Bolt.
move.
That was Curtis Samuel for Huntley, the backup quarterback to the Ravens. So that was a big one. Let me see. I can pull him back in here. He's probably sitting in his team room. Join. Oh, he's back in there. Okay, let me pull him up. Hey, welcome back. Okay, never mind. Let's try it again. Hey, welcome back. Okay. Oh,
I love it. I
one more
love
time
it.
for the people in the back.
It's back again.
Oh, hey.
Something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's all right. We're still reeling over this trade while he gets in here. This is all good stuff.
So why is that happening? That's got to be a Discord glitch, right? There's no way that's like actually happened. Like there's no way he's clicking the room that many times, right?
No, is it on phone or laptop?
I don't know.
Um,
I'll just keep pulling him, right? Or is that just asinine at this point? Sorry about the scenes being a mess. Obviously, we're trying to get him back in here. So
nah, it's all right. We're chilling. We're chilling.
It was happening with Allen before too, and then he jumped in. I thought it might have been like AFK or something.
While we're waiting for him to get in, how
Okay.
much
I think
should like?
Nope. Okay. Maybe we go to him.
Yeah, I'm down.
Oh, hey, can you hear us? Okay, we're here. Your microphone is muted.
Yo,
Yo. We can hear you.
yeah, I just finally got online.
Okay, cool.
On my PC. I don't
We're
know
all
what's
back.
Good stuff. Okay, cool. So, talking about this trade, Curtis Samuel, Unicorn Bolt drafted him, traded him to B. Flynn. Then he went back to Unicorn Bolt. Now he's back to B. Flynn. So you guys can give me as much shit as you want. These two teams have traded this player back and forth 4 times. Or he's changed teams and he's been 4 different teams. So
Pass them around to everybody.
yeah, so that's an interesting one. What do we think? I mean, Algier, obviously the timeshare with Patterson, but he's young and Patterson's old. Curtis Samuel, young, but the Redskins have so many players on offense. He gets a 2nd-round pick from Unicorn Bolt.
Yeah,
I mean-
it's definitely a win now. He's just upgrading.
I
Which,
like.
I mean,
I think
yeah,
I like
it's
it for
hard to
both
hate it.
sides.
I do.
But Mike Williams has been
Definitely.
frustrating. So I have him in another league, and it's my first year having him, and he's just been, for me, he's been frustrating to have with the
He's
injuries.
waterfalls, yeah, up and down.
But I still think it's a good deal for both teams. What do you think, Kimix? Does that worry you with him getting Mike Williams in there with the depth that he has? Does that scare you going into your potential playoff matchup? Are you fine with it?
I want to go on record. I hope Zoinks, the fantasy football wizards, listening. Unicorn's the only team I'm worried about. I mean,
Ooh,
fantasy football can be a cruel beast.
Jeez.
I mean,
it
like,
can, dude.
but like, his team's solid, man. Like, it's top to bottom. I think for him, that's not a high price for like a win now move. I like Curtis Samuel. I don't know. I think Dotson's going to continue being better, so I don't know what kind of deal Samuel's on there. At least a few-year deal too. I don't know what that's going to look like. Algier looks okay. He might just be a guy though. I think there's just way too many running backs in the draft and free agency coming up to really bank on him having value like moving forward. I think that's a great trade both ways though. Like for B. Flynn, I think it's more about the second than it is about
sure.
and he got the additional pieces. And for Bolt, I think Mike Williams, I've owned him since his rookie year. Gotten so frustrated, and I traded him in one dynasty the beginning of last season. So at the end of the offseason, he then proceeded to have the best season he's had since his rookie year.
Yeah.
He's super frustrating, like major boom bust, but like when he booms, it's like 25, 30 points.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, and when he busts, it's like 3 points and a sprained ankle.
The other thing that we've got to consider here that I've got to be with it, I guess all of us could be better since this is, if I'm not mistaken, all of our first contract leagues. But just traded for Curtis Samuel, who's on a 1-year deal. Just traded for Charlie Algier, who's on a 1-year deal. Just traded for Hollywood Brown, who's also on a 1-year deal. You get 4 re-signs. B. Flynn, in a sense, just added 3 players to his squad that all need to be re-signed if he wants to keep them. There's also that taxi squad piece where, again, the taxi squad, players that are on your taxi squad at the end of this year roll over into next year. Don't add any more years on. They just stay on a 1-year deal. Their contract price doesn't increase, but there's still 2 more weeks of poaching. So you're darn tootin' if Hollywood Brown ends up on his taxi squad, I'm going to go ahead and try to grab his ass, right? So, but does someone do that for Samuel, which has already happened once, by the way? So Samuel actually needs to be updated in here, so it's 13. And
Samuel's been
Algier-
coached?
Samuel, was attempted to be poached, and we got to update his contract. And it's right on the spreadsheet. It's wrong in Sleeper.
Oh, okay.
But he's on a 1-year deal extension. But still, Algier. So you've got to re-sign him. So now you're down to 2. Now you have 2 more people that you want to re-sign, or you let somebody walk. It's just, it's interesting. A lot of decisions there. But that's really all that we've got. Anybody else have anything you want to add? K-Migs, obviously you just did that plug of the Kung Fu Pandas is the only team to worry about. So not worried about Raggy, not worried about Quad Fathers, not worried about Diamond Dogs, not worried about Dan Flashes / Watts 25th Masu / Havoc, depending on who.
Well, first of all, Zoinks, appreciate that he's 10-2, but that points for is not scary. And like, I get it. Like fantasy football is like all. I mean, like my team's been putting up a ton of points, and I'm 7-5. Like you could just, it's all about just making it to the playoffs. Anything can happen. But like on paper, I mean, I'd like to think that Unicorn. I'm looking at over here on like the points for Codes. You're putting up a lot of points too. I
Codes
guess I'm
is
just
too,
really
yeah.
paying attention in my division, and I'm paying attention to Zoinks ever since he called himself a fantasy football whiz. I
2,000.
yeah,
By
I
the way,
don't
for
know.
everybody watching, 2,004 points for Brownout, 1,998 points for Diamond Dogs, 1,969 for Kung Fu Pandas, and then
Yeah.
it kind of just takes a drop from there. We've got Rutger
Point
Ragged with
score, yeah.
1760, Make Fullbacks Reagan at 1750, Team Havoc at 1750 again. Watson's 25th at 1725. So there really is a clear drop between the top three teams that are separated by about 35 points, the three of them. Then there's that drop down where you've got four other teams, again, 20 points away from each other. And you've got another drop down where you've got, the Tigers lose like Flynn and implications about 500, 600, 700 points behind everybody else. So, yeah. It'll be interesting.
I don't know. It's interesting too. I've been looking at different teams and looking at their starters and what those matchups are like over the playoff weeks too. We'll see what happens. I mean, like the one thing Zoinks does have like consistency. I think you mentioned this. Like he doesn't have like a lot of like highest scoring teams of the week or whatever. But he's been consistent. Whereas like my team, like the reason I'm 7-5 is like I'll put up like a ton one week and then I'll completely crap the bed the next week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm banking on a lot of my players being on playoff caliber or young teams where they're not gonna be shut down and they're not gonna be trying to tank. And hopefully that'll help production. But I don't know. I'm also liking like in the beginning of the year. The reason why I made a bunch of those trades, guys, is I didn't think I was gonna be a contender. So that's why like I kept trading and getting these picks, and like now I think I have an okay roster and some draft picks to work with. I did want to mention one thing though.
Go for it.
Because we were talking about like the worst trades or like the worst players we like touted of all time. So I asked in the Twitch chat if anybody remembers Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, running back.
Yeah,
So-
Lions, right?
Yeah, and he was good his rookie year, right? So I was in a dynasty and I had Zeke. Zeke was younger at the time, right? So he was like a couple years in. I traded Zeke. I wasn't doing well that year and I was new to dynasty. I traded Zeke and Aaron Rodgers for, listen to this, Kerryon Johnson,
Here we go.
Philip Lindsay, and
Oh,
two
wow.
firsts. Zeke continued to be a beast, and A-Rod is A-Rod, so that was a
Yeah.
bad trade. And I bought Kerryon in like a few leagues too, so there you go.
That sucks. I was listening to a story. Of somebody who like they said they bought Andrew Luck, and like he retired like 2 days later or something like that, like a few years ago. And I was like, that would just be the worst. Because obviously, Andrew Luck was supposed to be the guy in a dynasty, like a true dynasty league. Like you probably had to sell the farm for him, and then to like have that trade go through. Like whatever he sent, like 3 firsts and a running back or 3 firsts and a quarter, and then just he's retired. It's just like gone.
Wow, yeah, that was wild. Who saw that coming? Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Davis, by the way, so Zoink said we should do a vote on the best trade of the year, craziest trade of the year. I think craziest trade of the year. I don't think we need to vote. I think craziest trade of the year was the Spider Pig Zoink scoop. Tom Brady, Josh Allen, like set the farm.
League breaking one. Yeah.
The one.
That was an actual league breaking one.
I think the one that you said, all right, let's fix this before the league folds. or
Mahomes.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the good old days. I wonder what the best trade of the year was, or the craziest trade of the year. Because again, it's such a hard thing to define. What's the best trade of the year, the most even trade of the year? I mean, there's so many trades that I think were even. Craziest trade of the year. I don't know. I don't even know what I would say. We could have done one.
Craziest
Like,
was definitely the Mahomes deal, just because of the contracts of both of those guys, and then what it took to get Mahomes. Because like in some leagues, you can't even buy Mahomes because the Mahomes guy is like, I'm not trading him.
yeah, I would think that would absolutely be up there, especially because when the trade went through before it was allowed to go through, everybody was like, hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Even to the point that I even sent like Creep Trade Cut and was sending him advice and thoughts I had, and still went the way that he did. Trying to see through trade history is not easy on the desktop on Sleeper.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, I
It'll
wonder.
be. I think it'll be interesting with the
Oh.
contrast. Like,
Oh, sorry. Is that it?
what happened?
Did it go through?
It did just go through. Oh, it just dropped.
There's your crazy trade, baby. You got to give the people what
Big
they
one.
want.
Jamar Chase just got sent.
Oh wow.
What?
Wow. Cater
For
Mara receives Jamar
3/4.
Chase, Dalton
He
Schultz,
gets it all.
and $75 for Tyler Lockett, Juwan Johnson,
Big deal.
3/4
What?
and a second.
What?
That's a
He-
steal.
He look, dude. He gets his fourths. We fulfill the meme.
He-
You're welcome. I'm your guy. I'm
did
your
it for the
fucking
game.
guy, Tigers.
Why did he? What?
Why?
Coach, what do you think about this? What?
He did it for the meme apparently. That's wild.
Oh my god.
What?
I sent, for the record, earlier this season T. Higgins and a first for Jamar Chase, and I got told no. And then he's.
That's
I
a
mean,
that's a ton of
the
draft
only
picks
thing-
though.
the
Bro, I
only
just
thing-
started sweating.
The
I
only
mean, that's
thing.
a
Goodness.
no-brainer. That's a no-brainer for you, Cade.
Wow.
Oregon, I don't know. Look, I know we love the fourths, but like, you think you're gonna
Nine
find
fourths
somebody
it
as good as? You think you're gonna find somebody as good as Jamar Chase with those fourths?
The
He's
only
gonna
thing.
take all the top throws in the world.
The
Just
only
keep
thing I
throwing
will
darts
say.
until he finds them.
First of
Bro, we've
all,
been in talks for weeks.
Yeah.
What were the talks? I mean, if I would have smashed accept, what were the talks?
The only thing I will
Wow.
say, so a few pieces to this. First of all, this is happening every year from now on. By the way, this live trade deadline, because this is great. Second, that Dalton Schultz contract, I am not a fan of. It is terrible. And you, Kate, not that you're digging yourself into a hole, but
Yeah.
like, Cade, you have really got to figure out what this
I
cap room
know.
looks like. You are going to be the first.
I
I
was
know.
gonna say it's a lot
Go
of
on the
cap to
record.
eat. Yeah.
You were
It
the
is.
first team
What's-
that is going to have to
what's
blow it
Schultz's-
all up and sell everything for seconds and thirds.
What's
Because
his contract?
Jamar's on a big one.
Oh,
Schultz,
Yeah, Jamar-
Schultz is on
Yes,
4
which is
year
why I
deal,
got the cash.
and Jamar's on a 5-year deal. You have negative cap room in your 5th year right now.
Oh, I know, but I have time.
Yeah.
He does
I
have
would,
time.
Yeah, I would
Oh my
smash accept,
God.
and you got the. That's wild. What is
And I got
that?
$75. That's what I'm saying, bro. We push. Like
So,
we
for clarification,
look-
that 75 is this year? Is that next
Cade,
year?
you
Is
have
it?
nothing to defend. I want to hear this dude defend why he moved Chase for Lockett and some fourths.
Wow. 3/4.
I do like Lockett.
I
think
love
he's
it.
Good.
Oh, dude,
I like
Rocket's
Lockett.
awesome.
All right, which trade looks better now? Madison and Tolbert and a fourth
Right, yeah.
for Joe Mixon, or Chase for a bunch of fourths? and-
Goodness.
That's a big one.
I'm
I'm
asking him to hop on right now and defend himself.
We do need to figure out what that $75. What year does that go towards?
I'm clearing it up with him right now before I give you an answer.
Okay, cool. And hey, look, I mean, Morgan's saying obviously he feels fine with it as we.
Yeah.
He did
ragging on
offload
it,
a
but,
big
like,
contract on Schultz.
Yeah, and he's
'Cause
I
that
mean,
contract
this is a
sucks.
full true rebuild, right? I mean, that is a expensive contract for both those players. I mean, he's going to have absolutely all the cap room in the world. He could buy any free agent he wants. I do personally think that not a single one of us is ready for how the contracts are going to affect us next year. I really do. I have been like bracing myself
be fun.
way too much, possibly, but that's when things are really going to get spicy. Because this year we did the draft, and all of us ended up okay. We did the fantasy draft, and everything was all good and happy. And then here's another couple $100 on top of that at the end. Like as we go into the free agent draft this coming year, there's nothing there, and there is no cushion. There's no so if you go and spend all your money, that's it, and you're putting in $1 bids for $1 guys on the waiver wire. Like there's nothing. Another trade just gets done.
Oh, no way.
Wow, Dalvin Cook for Heineke and Hunter Henry.
Good lord.
Mm,
Did you want a quarterback that bad? Wait till I get off the stream. I would have sent
Oh
you
my
something.
gosh.
Oh man.
Well, hey, I'm gonna out Booty Disciple right now. He says he's looking ahead to next year and the year after, but he doesn't like draft picks. So, You
Yeah,
know,
fuck
it's
them
kind of
picks,
hard
yeah.
to trade. It's kind of hard to trade. Like, so he's just
Hey,
looking for players right
That one kind of like suddenly, all of a sudden, I forget about the last trade that just happened. You traded Dalvin Cook, still like a top 15 running back rest
But
of season.
he's 27.
Yeah, I wish you can
And he's on
click
an
on.
expensive
I'm on the
deal.
Yeah,
web
but-
app. And
Yeah,
you
the
Zoinks
web app,
bought
you
him.
can't do anything on it. It's terrible.
Now,
In the
now
web-
all of a sudden,
what about-
Zoinks
No, I
is,
got you.
yeah, people are. I mean, he's on a
Really
3-year. That's a
nothing.
terrible contract. That's a terrible contract.
what is going
Yeah,
on?
It's expensive.
Trade. Oh
But
no,
for Zoinks, that's just like
that's
obviously-
icing on the cake for him. Wow.
Yeah, but Zoinks has no picks, like for the next 2 years. He's got to either win it this year or
It's
on
all
his
win
team.
now. Yeah.
Like I
But
don't even
that's
know.
a great deal for Zoinks, right? I mean,
Oh, it's amazing for
just
Zoinks.
Continues to push in the chips for this year.
Yeah. Really is.
If we're just gonna start doing this, I am happy to offload Swift. I was like holding because I feel like I have to hold him.
Jeez. I mean,
But now, if we're just throwing deals out like this, I'm open to Swift. Yeah, I mean that is a good point by Morgan. He did get the Bell injuries, high on Johnson, Watson breaking out to.
jeez.
Yeah, I just.
I mean, if receivers are going for
That's
this much,
fair.
how much
Like I
can I get for
understand.
this
I
guy?
understand the logic from what he's doing.
Dude, I'll give you.
I'll
how
give you
many
a
fourths
second.
Do I have? How
I'll
many
give-
fourths do I have? Let me see.
Who has the other two?
Oh,
who has the other 3 4th-round picks?
I have Zoink Scoops fourth.
You
Webster's
have a fourth.
needs that one. Yeah, I do have a fourth.
What would you
Yeah.
sell it to Webster's for?
Shit, at this point, I don't know. I could get whatever I want. It seems like I have all the leverage here. I'm his
Dude.
last fourth.
He look
Trevor
for the
Lawrence
record, and he's not even
Uh,
gonna get mad about it. But he was more willing to talk Jamar than he was C. Watson. I low key
Nine
sent a fat C. Watson trade first, and
This
he's like,
squad,
"Nah, he has a future. I take him off the table."
Wow.
he has a future. Chase doesn't.
Dude, I know, man. It's
So
it's
Codes,
wild.
Codes has a fourth.
This is wild. Yeah.
I'm just checking now to see who's. Booty Disciple still has a fourth.
This is hilarious. I
Hey,
mean, the
how much
contract
how
thing
much
is-
room does he have year 5? How much room does Webster's have year 5? I can't pull up the sheet on my thing.
Year
well,
5?
he's got to update it though, right? You didn't-
I've got
Because he
updated, but he's
did
got
tell
plenty.
me-
He's got plenty.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
He has
He
plenty
told me
of-
year 5 is cool. And he said if it got tight for me, we'd work it out. So that 75 is
Year
year
five.
5 cap.
Okay, I don't even have it. I don't even have a way to do that on the spreadsheet. So I'll
Yeah,
figure it
that's
out.
all right. That's all right.
It is gonna be super interesting to see how it shakes out after a year. Like I know we've talked about my cat situation, but like a lot of the moves I made outside of like Eklers on like like I tried to get guys that I think are gonna be productive for a few seasons, like already under contract. But I'm
Mhm.
looking at. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I mean, you've explained it to me like 50 times, blind, but I still don't understand.
Yeah. Hey, look,
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for.
We're all going through it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, every single week, I get like 3 or 4 different people like, hey, if I do this, then what happens? And that's fine. And then what I do is I usually try to screenshot the rule book as everything's in the rule book, and then here's the answer for you. So if you ever shoot me a question and I just send you a picture of the rule book back, I'm not being a dick. I'm just like, here is the answer. But I'm here for it. Like, always answer
And
questions.
that rule
for
book
every
is
single-
robust, though. Sometimes I'm like, let's just see if
It
blind.
is.
Let me just DM the guy who wrote it. I definitely don't blame you. So, okay. Of course I know him. He's me. Obi-Wan over here. Okay.
He
well,
told you he'd give you all 9.23/4.
I
Or
know.
Jefferson.
Smash
Jefferson.
accept. Smash accept.
Well,
I just
I've
wanna
got
know,
an
so-
offer of Williams and 2/3.
for,
So-
for Jamar Chase.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, for Jefferson,
For
right?
Jefferson, yeah, for
Yeah,
Jefferson.
There's
Jefferson.
the one. He's me.
I would probably send a second back with Jefferson.
Counter buff it up.
Sit a second. with
Jeez. This is
I mean,
stressful.
look. I mean,
Yeah, he's a five
I
occasion
like.
for you
I don't
guys.
think it's like collusion or anything. I just wanted to hear
No,
like
not at all.
Webster explain. like-
Webster's
Yeah.
thought process.
yeah, I mean,
And I get it.
Watson
I
breaking out
definitely-
is
Okay,
good.
he did hop in 3 minutes ago. If you see his comment, he did kind of tell you where his mind was at.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I
it makes
appreciate
sense.
that. I like that Watson's breaking out, but why wouldn't you want 2 studs that are already broken out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the contract. I mean, that is an auto drafted contract. He didn't
Yeah,
pay that from Chase.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well,
Um,
that's gonna do it for us.
It's
What a
not gonna do
wild
it for the
ending.
trades though. Apparently, we're yeah, it
3
might
hours.
still be going. This is
So wait, real quick, if I
Hmm.
have somebody on my team that's on a deal, I can drop them before when,
1 a.m. basically.
and it won't
Um,
affect my and it's off the books.
Yes.
yeah. How does that
Um,
work?
It's a 2-year deal for.
So I'll pull it here. Watch this. Ready? I'm not even.
Not that
even-
I'm thinking about dropping Waller or anything.
Not to name names. Yeah.
Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up on the stream. So
Wow, what a savage.
removing a
I'm
player
still
from the
reeling.
team.
Like, dude, I told him, I said, look, man, the fourths are heavy because, like, if you look at my picks, I was not handed any favors. And so I'm itching, bro. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
look, okay, I will give you picks, which are huge for me.
Well, let's not
Um,
act like you were about to pay exactly what Raggy wanted for Kelsey.
all right, look,
And then-
okay, just to clarify one more time. He called me. Okay, we were talking maybe a week and a half. I wanted Higgins. We were talking Higgins first. Put together a fat Higgins trade. He said, oh, I'm not really feeling it. Not sure. It was Higgins for Evans and a first. Or a second. Higgins for Evans and a second. He's like, I'm not feeling it. Evans has a fat contract.
I was
Can't
about
handle
to
the
say,
can't handle the cap. I'm like, all right. We start talking Kelsey because in the middle of that he posts Kelsey on the trade block. We start talking.
Right.
We thought the time was running out. Dude calls me on my device, and then it's like, hey man, I'm off work. I really want to see it, but just send something, bro. Like we'll do it. And I'm like, all right, what do you need? All right, I need Goddard. I need money to help with this contract, year 3. I'm also gonna need a tight end to replace right now. So I gave him Juwan. He said, and I want a first. Typed up the trade, sent it to him.
Nah.
Ghosts me, bro. The next morning, Thanksgiving morning, he's like, oh, I don't know, dude. Kelsey's worth more. Bro, you're pulling both of our dicks right now. And that's not cool.
So here's the
So
goodness.
it wasn't going to
the-
happen.
the dropping.
Honestly, moving Kelsey as a win now, it doesn't make sense to really move Kelsey.
It doesn't. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I told him, I said, bro, it's fair. All's fair in love and war, bro. You need him.
Like, it's
He's
all good,
performing.
but we've all been there where
Yeah.
like we get really excited. I'll tell you what, Code does that to me all the time where I get really excited to make a deal and I feel like I'm getting somewhere with Code and we're like we both are like, yeah, this looks good.
Yeah.
And then I think we're there and then he's like, why don't you throw in a first and then I'll think about it. I'm like, what do you mean you'll think about it if I throw in a first? So
Yeah.
No, that
we've all
happened
been
with
there.
us earlier in the season too, when we were trying to make like a 3-way.
We were trying to make a 3-way deal happen, yeah.
Mhm.
And we all agreed to it. I think Code was the one who was like, yeah, but then your blind's getting too much, so never mind, I'm out. He's like, I like what I'm sending, I like what I'm getting, but I think he wins, so
So I'm not
out.
doing it. Yeah, I'm like,
And that's
it's
and then
division
we figured,
rivalry
didn't we
stuff.
figure it out on
Yeah.
our own? I think after that we just like I remember I did that with somebody else too.
you and it
Um,
was Spider Pigs, I think. You guys did the percent deal.
That's what it was.
That's what it
Yeah,
was,
That's
yeah.
right. And K Migs and I were talking for a sec, but then I sent him somewhere else, and then I got him back, and then I sent him to K Migs.
Yep,
So yeah, that's
now
what
we
I
got
said.
too many quarterbacks.
Yeah, me too now. But yeah, so if you decided you want to remove anybody from your team that may or may not be named Darren Waller, if you do it this year, you have the option to have all of his contract for this year be dead cap, and that's it, and you don't have to worry about it for future years. If you do it, you can also cut it for it's half this year and half next year, dead cap. But if you do it after December 1st or starting here in 3 hours, then it's 75% dead cap this year, 75% dead cap next year. And again, I think that from the discussions that we had in the general chat the other day, Unicorn Bolt brought up a couple great points, and I think a lot of us echoed that these contracts should be hurting us more than they are. So, for example, Marlon Mack got cut. He was signed to a 3-year deal for Raggy. Signed to a 3-year deal, Marlon Mack, he cut him, and he's got $3 in dead cap this year, nothing for the next 2 years, and that just seems a bit ridiculous. So, would not be surprised if these penalties increased next year to be a bit more harsh in some capacity. So I'm not, advocating for people to start cutting everybody, but would not be surprised if in the offseason things change a bit where, if you're on a multi-year deal, you're hit for multiple years. But we don't know, and we're going to vote on it. There's going to be probably a 2-hour-long video of me talking to the camera about all the different deal changes, positives, negatives. I don't think anybody read that 6-page rule document that I typed up that I got in so much trouble for.
At it, but there was
Yeah.
too much.
No, I literally told my girlfriend who was sitting on the couch behind me, I'm just going to do this real quick. And then 3 hours later, I was like, what happened? And I got in trouble. Not in trouble, but she was just like, we were supposed to hang out. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I wouldn't have done this rabbit hole. But she puts up with me and my obsessiveness. So I love her to death. But yeah, so I would not be surprised if that changed. But it's something that we will vote on right at the end of the season. So like right at the end of the season, it's like pretty much like when the fantasy football season ends and before the Super Bowl ends, we'll have all of our rule changes for next year done, and then we pretty much disappear for a few months from like mid-February to probably like July. I mean, we'll still be around and sleeping and chatting and talking shit and all.
Yeah.
But like, there's not going to be much going on because I don't want to do the rookie draft too early and all that.
You
But that's
can't-
all.
So, front office is like closed. Like you can't make trades during that window.
So we got to figure that out. So part of me wants to unlock trading and just say, hey, if you guys end up trading or adding players, go for it. The thing for me is I don't want to have to constantly have to update the web, like not the website, but I don't want to constantly have to update the spreadsheet. So part of me feels like maybe like once a week, you can like every Sunday is when it opens up to add players, but then let trading happen whenever. The other part of me really likes the idea that you can't trade until the rookie draft again, because then all this talks have been
Right.
happening. But also too, then what? So you just have the sleeper app on your phone, and if you love this league, you're effectively locked out of doing anything for 5 months, 6 months. You're like kind of like, damn, well this sucks. So I don't know. I think that there should be something. I just don't know what it is yet. And look, if I like the idea of this, and 8 or 9 of you guys are like, hey, I'd rather do it this way, then guess what? We're gonna do it that way.
Yeah.
I just
I
think
like
that
the idea of keeping trade. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but like in other leagues, trading will slow down anyways. Like once the
Yeah,
season
right.
ends, and then it'll pick up again. It'll just be interesting though because like you can't trade guys that are on 1-year deals, right?
Right.
Because they're not even under contract.
Yeah, they're just gonna
yet.
get
So just
cut,
people
yeah.
So just people are aware of that. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe just put that to a vote.
yeah. Lots of stuff to talk about and vote on. And it's like I said,
I feel bad
there's
for
several-
Dan Flashes. He's just all
He
these
just got
people are
bad.
making moves. He can't sell Jonathan Taylor.
All right, last thing before we go.
He can't
'cause
at all,
gotta
yeah.
go. What would you just to make Dan happy? What would you buy Jonathan Taylor for right now?
Ignoring contract, like in a vacuum.
Take his expensive contract into it. But let's say you've got okay cap space. You can afford it. You can afford it.
First. He's worth what is he? 24. He's a stud. He's playing well. I mean, he's a stud. He's a stud runner. Do first.
Yeah, there's a reason his contract is so big.
Yeah.
He's valuable, so
He was one of the, but that was also like auction. He was like the first one of the first guys to go, and like, yeah, people were blowing their loads like super early on some of these guys, So, I was talking with about JT earlier, but yeah, there's no way I could have made that work,
I just got a trade offer.
Oh.
Robbie Anderson.
You're
tell
tempting?
us. Tell us.
Let's just keep going until midnight, Katie. You don't need
Just
sleep.
tell me more. Tell me more.
Goodness.
Oh, you're not gonna share the trade offer. We can't.
Should I
do
do it?
course
I just
not.
I like it, but I don't. It's
Just say theoretically it's this and this.
theoretically.
Yeah.
I'm unloading a headache.
Ooh, it's a Swift deal.
I didn't say that.
You don't have to tell us
Uh.
who's being offered. I love Swift. He's just like need a healthy run. I mean, running backs always get banged up, but man, like how many games does he play a season?
And not only that, what's going on with him in the?
It's a good
all right,
point.
I said a counter. I
He's
said a
got
counter.
Sanders
a
has.
big contract though, dude. Too.
Holy moly, I walk away to eat food and the world's on fire.
Yeah.
Goodness.
All right. I hope he sees it. This way we can see if he accepts it. While we're still sitting here, I don't want to sit down for 20 minutes, but okay, he saw it. I feel like just with the offer that he sent with the counter, like why would you not? Basically,
Whoever. Yeah.
typing. We'll just sit here for another second. I feel like this is gonna happen. But like,
No,
like what?
this is great. Yeah, just hanging out for another second and looking is great. I know, bro. I see. I want to trade with you, K Migs, but I know I'm gonna have to take out a mortgage on my house to give you something that you'll accept.
Goodness.
Just give me your
It's funny.
firstborn, dude.
20 days, 3
Yeah.
weeks.
At least he has one. I don't even have one to offer you.
That's true.
You know,
Oh,
I
it's
do.
tough,
I know
dude.
that one trade, like Godwin's balling out right now. Like I have Godwin in like a ton of my leagues.
Yeah, he really
And
is.
What do you want for Waddle, man? Probably my fucking car. I have a Chevy
My
09
God.
Silverado. As
but see, like, there's no reason for me to trade a guy like Waddle. I think he's on a pretty good contract too.
he is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he-
he's a really good deal.
Like the only guys that I really want to move, like, don't really make sense for me to move right now. Like Eckler, I think the
Yeah.
way that he runs, I think he's still. I have him for 2 years. I still think he's gonna be
yeah.
effective next year.
I'm a massive Austin Eckler fan, man. Massive. So I'd say keep him. Just between me and
Holdouts
you.
are gonna be interesting though too. Like Kirk's balling out this year, you know. But they
Yeah.
also, so like he's gonna demand a contract. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they draft a receiver. They've got Calvin Ridley. So like I don't know. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm, you know. So that's why I put Kirk on the block. Because yeah, I mean I'm trying to think who
Yeah.
else. I'm gonna have
And I mean,
to resign.
Kirk's not bad. I mean, he's not bad. He just got 34 points in week 10.
When they
And
use him in the slot, he
averaging
lines up with the slot all the time
18,
now.
probably averaging over 20 points with those couple down games even.
Yeah, because they're lining up at the slot every week. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like now I have like Tannehill. He's not great, but if somebody wants a quarterback, I got Goff, who I kind of like as a depth piece. But dude, people rag on Goff like he wasn't terrible.
Would you take Ryan for Tannehill? What else would you want in that?
Like Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
No, I'd rather just. Well, it depends how many fits. No, I'm just. That's a wash for me. I'd rather just hold Tannehill. You know.
Yeah. I'm like, because you want a quarterback back for him, right?
Oh, for Tannehill?
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, I'd take a draft pick.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I just don't have any
this,
first.
this deal's gonna happen. I'm like fairly sure that this deal's gonna happen, but I don't know how quickly it happens because it might be evolving into something more. I'm trying to.
All right,
I'm
well.
trying to get them to just push the.
Include me.
And
Let's
then
make
keep
it a
going?
three-way trade. Let's
Make
go.
it a
We
three-way,
still
yeah.
haven't done one. The league still hasn't done a 3-way.
We should have,
trade.
just for the sake of it, we should have dropped like a massive 5-team, like fifth for a fifth deal. Just like. Kick it off.
I'm thinking about adding fifth round picks next year. Just
Oh yeah, fine.
Because if
Sorry,
we're gonna-
fourth,
yeah.
fourth, and like a 20. I got my 2025 fourth still. Let's do a major swap right now. I mean, I like my tight ends.
What
kid.
round pick would you want for Tannehill?
What you got?
Next year, fucking
Well, I
nothing.
don't
a
know,
first and a
dude.
second.
If Case is worth fourths, then what does that make Tannehill worth? I don't know.
Yeah, that would a lot.
I'd like a 2020. What do you got? Let's do a live trade right now.
For 2024 and 2025, I have everything.
What would you give me from 2024?
I don't
I'll
know,
do it
probably
for-
a
I'll do
second.
it for 2025 fourth.
2024 second, send it through. Let's go live on
Live
the
on the air. Oh
So
fuck.
you've got to
Trade.
You've got to pay for
Yeah,
2024.
you can't
to do
pull
that.
a Zoinks though. You can't pull a Zoinks. And be like,
Oh, all right.
Because it's got to be by playoffs, and we're basically at playoffs. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and you got this year for free.
Oh, so if he sends his
Oh
second away
wait, the
from
thing
next
is
year,
though,
yeah, how does that work?
technically, you've got to pay for 2023 at a certain point in time too.
Who?
Cade, if you want to keep the team in 2023. So Cade's taking over the team, and it's his to decide what he wants to do. But with the
Okay.
2023 picks got traded away, I refunded the guy, which maybe wasn't the right thing to do, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, so that $50 still needs to
the
be
$50
paid.
needs to be
I
paid
didn't.
for in some
Okay.
capacity. Yeah.
I could do that. That's fair.
I mean,
Trading it, or-
yeah, but then you trade
yeah.
24 away, which means you have to pay for both. But 24, you don't have to pay for another year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
I'm
don't.
chilling.
But I don't know. And look, like,
Well-
when someone's like, I don't know if I want to pay. You know, when earlier on I was talking to someone, was like, hey, you got to pay for your 2024 pick. You traded, and they're like, I don't know if I want to be like, I don't know if this is gonna be around in 2024. And I was like, dude, this isn't going anywhere. Like, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Worst
think
case
it's gonna be
scenario, we'll
around.
find- Yeah, the amount of time I've invested in this league, that's only $50 a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we have enough people that are like, super into it, which is cool. There's some people that are just new to Dynasty. I think a few of you guys are like new to Dynasty in general, right?
Yeah, that's my first year completely doing Dynasty.
It's yeah,
I know
mine
this
as well.
isn't Dynasty, but it's comparable. It's definitely comparable.
Yeah,
I want
I'm
to see
doing.
this.
Yeah, and he's on a 1 year, bro. I'm low-key a Titans fan.
He's high key a Titans fan.
High-key
mean-
a Titans fan.
Eagles too, after what Sanders just did.
Dude,
Dude,
how
bro, any-
aren't you all like Eagles fans though? There's been some injuries,
Code-
man.
I'm-
What's his
Code
name
and I
just
are-
I'm
got
an
Yeah.
hurt?
Eagles guy.
I thought Blind, you are too though, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And
Some
Kate, you're
fellas.
not an Eagles fan.
He's a Titans guy.
Yeah, I'm Titans guy. I don't hate the Eagles though. If they go to the Super Bowl, me and Cody are going to Arizona.
We'll
Would you guys
figure
actually
that out.
go? I would 100% go if they're
We'll,
going.
we'll
I'll do
figure
it.
it out.
If they go, we are
Yeah.
going.
Like it's so easy. How much are tickets? Like it's
Probably
insane.
a couple thousand.
We're
much.
going, bro.
more
I'd
than
go,
I can
no question.
afford.
I would go, no question.
More than I can afford, but hey,
Code and I actually, fun fact. Let me see if I can find this.
2018 wasn't it?
2017. This is
Or-
probably a
yeah,
TOS
yeah.
violation for Twitch, but I'm going to show you guys a video. That's true. No, this is not the one where my pants came off after we won for no reason. So this is a true story, and then I'm going to end stream because we're trying to figure this other thing out too, and it's not working.
Yeah.
Code, do you remember this? So we made a drinking game out of the Super Bowl, and we said every time the Eagles score or a touchdown scored, you got to take a shot. And it was the highest scoring game in Super Bowl history. We made it to halftime, and we're like, yeah, we're done drinking. We just want to watch the game at this point. But this is
Getting plastered.
we did get plastered.
Are you? Is that on the stream? Because I'm
I'm-
not actually watching the stream. So
I'm
I
gonna
have to-
put it right into my camera here in 2 seconds.
Oh,
Here-
okay. Yeah.
That's me taking my shirt off. Okay, this is it right here. So that Zach Ertz touchdown. I won't do it with the volume because you get the point. But is that kind of work?
I can't see it.
I have to put play. No, I don't. Here it is. There's me and Code 5 years ago.
I can't see it.
You can't see it on the screen? Oh, because you're watching
No.
the wrong thing. I'll show
through
it to you guys
Discord,
on the
yeah.
thing. Yeah. So if you see it on the stream or on the Discord, I'll show you guys afterward. But yeah, it was me and Code hugging as Zach Ertz scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
4 years
All right,
ago.
wait, K-Migs. What if we swap Tannehill for the Kirk trade that you wanted? So instead of trading Tannehill, we trade Kirk, and you name your price on Kirk, and I'll send it over right now. Because and the reason I say that
You're on mute.
the reason I say that is because I high key need Kirk more than Tannehill because I have Mariota and he's not trash.
Mariota is not trash, but I don't know what your QB depth is. That's a completely different trade, though. I think Kirk helps me win right now. Like Tannehill doesn't help me win right now.
I know, and I want Tannehill because I'm a Titans fan, but he's on a 1 year contract. So if I don't use him right now, kind of bone.
I wouldn't trade for somebody just if you're a Titans fan. But you are a Brownout fan, so you should probably trade like whatever I
Look,
want.
he's got the background for you and everything.
And that's why I told you to name your price on Kirk because he's the one on the block, actually.
All right, give me Jamar Chase, pay 90% of his contract and 3/3.
Sweating over here, bro, just to honor you.
Let me look at your team. I kind of like this live
All right.
trade.
I feel like so. Here's what we'll do. We'll end stream. Just this one deal hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Yet. We'll end
I
stream.
need
I'm
to
gonna put a
put it
message in. I'm gonna put a message in the chat though, and I'll open up a room for us in general, so anybody can jump in and talk in to it. Like anybody can jump. I'll make a couple
Yeah,
different rooms in the
that's a good
Discord.
idea.
This way, anybody wants to jump in and chat, we can jump in, chat, move to different rooms, and talk and stuff like that as well.
Sounds great.
This way we can keep this
I'm
going,
hyped
but
right
also
now.
turn the stream off at the same time. So, appreciate you guys for all watching, especially if you made it to the
Stream
end.
is
This
great, as
2 hour
always.
and 15-minute video thing where the last 15 minutes was waiting for this trade to drop and it never did. So sorry, but thanks everybody. It's been fun, yeah, sad that trading's done, but happy that we made it. So that's it. I don't know what else to say. So we're just gonna push the button.
Great job. Let's go.